Chapter 181. Han Hao sat across from me and looked at me with a smile. Alright, the food is here. Even though this place doesn't look like much, the food looks pretty good. Try it and see if you like it. If you really don't like it, then wait for a while. I'll go home and cook for you. I picked up some food and ate it. I picked up a mouthful of food and put it in my mouth. It tasted pretty good, pretty good. I nodded and looked at Han Hao, saying, "It tastes pretty good, pretty good. Hurry up and eat. I've been tormenting you for a long time." Han Hao nodded with a smile and began to eat. From the looks of it, he was really hungry. In fact, he and Duanmu K were very good to me. When they found out that something had happened to me, they immediately put down what they were doing and ran over to accompany me. They didn't say anything when they found out that something had happened to me. Han Hao looked at me and stared at me. He was a little confused. "Shaoli? Shaoli, why are you so straight?" Hearing him call me, I came back to my senses. Nothing." I looked at him and said, "Nothing." I lowered my head and began to eat. Han Hao looked at me and sighed. "Shaoli, are you still worried about Red Baron?" "Don't worry, she'll be fine. She'll be fine soon. You don't have to worry. Besides, Shao Ke said that he would find the mastermind, so you don't have to worry. You're very weak right now, and the doctor has advised you to take good care of your body. At this time, you can't be too tired, understand?" Han Hao reached out and put a piece of rib in my bowl. I looked at him and said, "Yeah, I know. But I'm worried that Shao Ke won't be able to handle this. After all, the mastermind behind this is after him. What if this is a trap and he gets himself into it?" Han Hao put down his chopsticks and looked at me. "Shaoli, you have to believe in the Kurosawa's strength. This kind of small matter is nothing in Duanmu K's eyes. I estimate that he'll take care of them in 2 or 3 days. Don't worry about it. Shaoli, can you tell me, do you still love Shao Ke?" Hearing Han Hao's question, I suddenly froze. I didn't dare to look up and continued to eat with my head down. Han Hao saw that I didn't answer, so he reached out and held my hand. He cupped my face and looked at me. "Tell me the truth, okay? There's no need for hypocrisy between us." I put down my chopsticks and looked at Han Hao. Actually, I'm very conflicted about my feelings towards him. I love him very much, but I'm also very afraid of him because he's not the Duanmu K who loved me. He's forgotten about me because he lost his memory. The me he knows now is the one who just started to like me, not the one who went through life and death with me. This kind of conflicted feeling makes me love and hate him at the same time. I can't bear to see him suffer, I can't bear to see him indulge himself, and I don't want to see him treat me coldly. I don't want to see him look at me with cold eyes. I want to give up, but I can't. I want to tell him that I love him, but I can't. Sometimes, when I calm down, I think about whether it's right or wrong for me to keep this child. If Shao Ke remarries and has another child, and he finds out that I have his child at that time, would that child be an illegitimate child? How would he live in the Duanmu family in the future? Han Hao looked at me calmly. He was probably stunned by my series of answers. After a while, he looked at me and said, "Shaoli, what about me? Will you still be with me?" I didn't know why, but when I heard Han Hao's question, there seemed to be a trace of sadness in his voice. He probably didn't want me to go back to the Duanmu K, and he probably didn't want me to be so conflicted about whether or not I should choose the Duanmu Quebec. I didn't know what to do. If there was a man in the world that I didn't want to hurt the most, it would definitely be Han Hao. From the beginning, he had been good to me from the bottom of his heart. He was also the one who understood what I needed the most at any time. He was such a handsome man with a good figure, a good family background, and a gentle personality. I looked at Han Hao and said, "Shao Hao, I understand that you are good to me, and I did promise you that I would accept your feelings for me. However, I am now a single mother. I can ignore myself, but I have to take care of my child. So, until the baby is born, I won't think about my own matters because I still have things to take care of during this period of time. I hope you can understand. You should know that the baby is the most important thing to me. You won't deprive me of the most important person to me, right?
If you really want to be with me, and you want to be with me for the rest of your life, if you are willing to wait until the baby grows up, and at that time, if I have no other thoughts in my heart, I will choose to be with you.
Is that okay, Xiao Hao? I hope you can understand me. Han Hao looked at me and nodded. He reached out to touch my face and said softly, "Silly for you, I am willing to wait as long as it takes. 10 years, 8 years, it doesn't matter. As long as I have your word, it is enough. If you choose Xiao Ke at that time, I won't be angry with you, because the days with you are the most important. I don't want to think about anything else." I smiled at Han Hao and said, "Thank you for understanding me. I understand that you are good to me, and I will cherish it. You have done so many things for me, and I will remember it in my heart. I am not an ungrateful person." Han Hao touched my face and said softly, "Silly, hurry up and eat. The food is getting cold." I nodded, and the two of us continued to eat. This meal was timely. Maybe I was really tired from the whole morning, but I felt much better after eating this meal. Han Hao ran to buy me a cup of warm milk. I didn't know who he had heard it from, but warm milk was good for pregnant women and the fetus. He was really like a super stay-at-home dad now, and he knew how to take care of people. He even said that he would take me to buy daily necessities and milk powder for pregnant women one day. I suddenly felt that Han Hao's back was shining brightly. But in my heart, I thought, if Duanmu Ke knew that I was pregnant, would he take care of me as well as Han Hao? Or would it be like what I had thought in the past, that he would not acknowledge this child? Han Hao and I were sitting in the cafeteria after eating and chatting when my phone suddenly rang. I took it out and saw that it was Red Minghui's internal number. I quickly picked it up. "Hello. Miss, please come over quickly. The Red Baron is awake." Chapter 182. What? The Red Baron has woken up? I jumped out of my chair when I heard the news. Han Hao, who was sitting opposite me, was shocked. "Okay, I got it. Hurry up and call the doctor to give the Red Baron a thorough checkup. I'll be there in a minute." I hung up the phone and looked at Han Hao. "I'm not eating. I just received a call that the Red Baron has woken up. I have to go." I couldn't wait for his reply. I turned and ran towards the Red Baron's ward. This was the best thing I'd heard all day. I couldn't care less about my pregnancy. I'd completely forgotten about it. After a while, I finally arrived at the ICU. I saw the Red Baron's ward. The Red Minghui's people were standing at the door. I walked over. When they saw me, they greeted me politely and said, "Miss, you're here. We've already arranged for the doctor to give the Red Baron another checkup." Okay, I got it. I was about to push the door open, but they stopped me. I looked at them in confusion. The person who stopped me said, "Miss, I'm sorry. The doctor just said that they're not sure if the Red Baron is out of danger. That's why they don't allow family members to visit the ward. They said that if you come, you should wait outside for the doctor's checkup. They'll talk to you in detail when they come out." I looked inside the ward. The doctor was examining the Red Baron. I knew I couldn't barge in. I thought for a while and nodded. "Okay, I got it. Thank you for being so responsible for the Red Baron. It's what we should do." They bowed to me. Although I used to hate my identity as the Miss of the Red Minghui's Lang family, it seemed that this identity was still very advantageous in front of people. This identity provided the Red Baron with the best medical team and the best medical services. Even the subordinates of the Red Minghui treated the Red Baron with respect. That was indeed the case. After all, she was the confidant of the Red Minghui's chairman, the personal bodyguard of the Miss of the Red Minghui, and the best fighter of the Red Minghui. Just these few identities were enough for her to stand firm among the members of the Red Minghui. Just as I was lost in my thoughts, the door of the ward opened. The doctor and the nurse walked out of the ward. He walked up to me and said, "Hello, Miss Lang. I've already done a systematic examination of the patient. The Red Baron is no longer in critical condition. Her physical indicators are very good. She can be transferred to a normal ward now. However, the patient is still very weak.
She needs to stay in the hospital for another week for observation before she can leave.
I nodded and looked at the doctor.
Thank you. I'll go through the procedures for her transfer later.
Doctor, is there anything else I need to pay attention to? How about this? I'll organize a medical order and have my assistant send it to you.
If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me at any time, the doctor said to me with a smile.
I understood what he meant. I smiled and said to him, okay.
How about this? I'll have my subordinate come over to get it from you later.
I also have something to give you.
The doctor immediately understood what I meant.
He nodded with a smile and left. At this time, Han Hao ran to my side. He glared at me and whispered in my ear, "Why are you running so fast? Don't you know you're pregnant? It's a good thing that you're awake. Why are you in such a hurry?" I was awakened by Han Hao's sudden scolding.
Only then did I realize that I shouldn't be running because I was pregnant.
It seems I was too excited. I suddenly remembered that I had to transfer the Red Baron. I turned around and took out a bank card from my bag.
I handed it to a Red Minghui and said to him, "I'll have to trouble you to go through the procedures for the Red Baron's transfer. Remember, you must arrange a single ward facing south for the Red Baron.
Money isn't important.
The most important thing is that the Red Baron must have a good environment to rest in."
Understood. Mississippi. I'll do it right away. The man took the card from my hand and left. Han Hao turned to look at me and asked, "Why don't you just leave this to me? What if he doesn't pick a good ward for you? I know you very well. Why don't you call him back? I'll go and do it." I reached out and pulled Han Hao over. I looked at him and shook my head. "Don't go. I'll arrange for you to do something else.
This doctor is in charge of the Red Baron's treatment.
I have a red envelope here, but it's not convenient for me to meet him. You can send it to him for me.
Just say that I thank him for doing his best to save the Red Baron and that I'm very grateful to him."
Han Hao looked at me and was stunned for a moment. Then, he pushed my hand away.
He stroked my hair and said softly, "Silly, you should have said so earlier."
"I have cash here. I'll go and deliver it. You can keep your money for yourself. The Red Baron seems to have woken up. Go and accompany her. I'll come back and talk to you later." Then, Han Hao waved at me and left. Looking at his back, I felt gratified.
He was the man who understood me the most.
He was probably the only one. Speaking of which, it was strange. I had spent more time with Duanmu K than him, but even Duanmu K didn't understand me as well as he did. Han Hao really understood me. He even knew what I was thinking and what I might do next. He already knew that I loved Duanmu K, but he didn't force me or complain to me. He also didn't leave me because of this matter when I needed help the most.
Instead, he always did a lot of things for me.
I really didn't treat him well.
I looked at the Red Baron in the ward.
Her eyes were gradually opening. It seemed that she had regained consciousness. At that moment, a nurse came over. I called out to her and asked if I could visit her in the ward. Then, I opened the door and walked in. I closed the door and turned to look at Red Jew. She turned her head to look at me and squeezed out a smile with great effort. At that time, my heart broke, and my tears couldn't stop flowing. In order not to let her see me cry, I tried my best not to be obvious.
I walked to the side of the hospital bed and reached out to hold Red Jew's hand. Her hand was cold, and her hand was connected to the 4 bottle.
Looking at it, I felt very distressed.
Red Jew saw my tears, but she still forced a smile and said to me in a very weak voice, "Don't cry." Hearing the Red Baron's words, I cried even harder.
I held her hand and cried, "Red Baron, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Chapter 183. The Red Baron shook her head and looked at me. "Don't be like this, Mississippi. I'm awake now. Don't be sad."
I wiped the tears off my face and looked at the Red Baron.
I nodded gently. "Rest well. You've just woken up, so don't talk too much."
Han Hao has already helped you with the transfer procedures. Don't worry, he's arranged the best for you. The Red Baron's eyes were a little wet. She looked at me and said softly, I've troubled you. You've done so much for me. Thank you very much. I reached out and touched the Red Baron's face.
It's what I should do.
Don't worry. Rest well.
I won't accompany you for now. I don't want to disturb your rest.
I'm going to see how Han Hao's transfer procedures are going.
I stood up and turned around to leave. Suddenly, the Red Baron called me.
Mississippi. I stopped and turned around to look at her.
What's wrong, Red Baron?
Is there anything else? The Red Baron looked at me and said softly, Miss, you must be careful. There might be other people who could be a threat to you. Don't act on your own.
I nodded and looked at her.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Then, I turned around and left the room.
When I walked out of the room, I called the Red Minghue's people who were standing nearby and told them to keep a close watch. If there were any strangers near the room, they were to inform me immediately.
I stood at the door of the room and thought of Han Hao.
Just as I was about to go find him, he appeared in front of me. He looked at me and said, Xiao Li, the Red Baron's room has been arranged. I've asked the nurses to tidy up the room.
Do you want to go take a look now?
I thought for a moment and nodded. Okay.
Take me there. Han Hao smiled at me and pulled me forward. At this time, my phone suddenly rang. I stopped and took out my phone. It was Suri. It seemed something had happened on his side. I answered the call. Suri, what happened? Miss, it's not a big deal. I've already arranged what Duanmu Ke asked me to do. Also, Xinyao has recovered, but she's crying and screaming to see you. She said she's sorry for implicating you and wants to apologize to you in person. I told her you were busy, but she insisted that I call you. I couldn't persuade her.
What should I do?
Tell Xinyao that I'm fine, and tell her to be good. I still have some things to do, and I don't know when I'll be done.
Tell her not to wait for me, and let her rest. Before I finished, Xinyao's voice sounded from the other side of the phone. Sister-in-law.
Come back quickly, sister-in-law. I have a lot of things to tell you.
Come back quickly, okay?
Suri seemed to have snatched the phone away from him.
He whispered to me, Miss, you see?
I really don't know what to do.
Xinyao's cries sounded from the other side of the phone. It was true that I should be by her side when she really needed me, but I was worried about the Red Baron's health.
I sighed and said softly, Okay, I got it. I'll make the arrangements and contact you later. I hung up the phone and looked at Han Hao, shaking my head helplessly. Before I could say anything, Han Hao walked to my side. He reached out and touched my face.
Xinyao misses you. She suffered a lot today.
You should go back and accompany her.
I turned to look in the direction of the Red Baron's ward and said softly, But I'm worried about the Red Baron.
I'm afraid that something will happen to her again. Han Hao looked at me and pulled me into his arms. He whispered in my ear, It's okay.
Go home and see Xinyao.
I'll be here. I'll stay here and watch over her. I've already told my family that I won't be home for a few days because of something. I'll stay here and accompany the Red Baron for you.
Don't worry, just go home.
Then, Han Hao kissed my forehead gently. I looked at Han Hao with embarrassment and said, Thank you for your hard work. I'll come back after I've settled Xinyao down.
I'll be quick. Don't worry.
Han Hao smiled at me and hugged me.
I left the hospital.
On the way home, I felt exhausted.
Maybe it was because I was too tired.
I didn't know how I got home. As soon as I entered the living room, I saw Xinyao running towards me. She saw me and threw herself on me. She hugged me tightly and cried, Sister-in-law, you're finally back. I gently hugged Xinyao, stroked her hair, and softly said, Little fool, why are you crying? Are you feeling better? Suri said you wanted to see me, so I came back immediately. Xinyao didn't let go of me. She hugged me tightly and said softly, Sister-in-law, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm better now. It's all thanks to Suri. Oh right, how's the Red Baron? Has she woken up? I suddenly felt suffocated.
I patted Xinyao's back and said softly, "Little Xinyao, come down first."
I can't breathe. Xinyao let go of my hand that was hugging me tightly. She pulled me to sit on the sofa.
I looked at her and said, "Red Baron has woken up and is out of danger, but she is still very weak."
I didn't dare to disturb her. I wanted to go to her new ward to take a look, but then I received a call from Su Rue. He said that you missed me so much, so I rushed back immediately. It's good to see that you are fine. Xinyao and I were chatting when Suri came out of the kitchen with a plate of fruit. When he saw me, he said, "Miss, you're finally back. I can finally rest." Xinyao was too annoying. I was scared. Xinyao curled her lips and looked at Suri. "You're bad." I was scared. "That's why I stuck to you." Suri looked at Xinyao in disbelief.
"At first, you were scared. But later, you made me feel like my body had been hollowed out." Before Suri could finish, Xinyao interrupted him and said loudly, "Bad man."
"Don't say it." After that, Xinyao hugged my arm tightly and leaned on my shoulder.
I immediately understood what had happened between the two of them. Something indescribable must have happened between the two of them after Xinyao recovered.
I thought for a moment and quickly changed the topic. "Oh, by the way, Suri, did Duanmu Ke call you after that?"
Suri nodded and said, "He called."
He asked if Xinyao remembered who wanted to frame her. I also checked with Xinyao.
When she was working in the US, there really was such a person.
She was Xinyao's colleague. The two of them had a conflict. Chapter 184. What's going on? I looked at Xinyao and asked, "Xinyao, what's going on? Tell me all about it." Xinyao sat up.
She looked at me and said, I didn't take that woman seriously at first, but I didn't expect her heart to be so evil."
I didn't think too much about it. I thought that after the two of us quarreled at the meeting, it would be fine. Maybe it was because I really hurt her heart? That can't be. She doesn't look that weak. Who is this person? I asked Xinyao anxiously. She is Li Li. Her name is Li Hui, a designer of the international brand company that chose me.
She is the kind of designer who has signed an agreement with a company, and I was hired with a high salary. Because I am still a little famous in the foreign fashion industry, when I first entered their company to open a design studio, everyone looked at me with envy and a sense of superiority, but only she looked at me with that kind of jealousy and hatred. I felt uncomfortable at that time, but because I had just arrived at a new company and I was also aiming to design, I didn't think too much about it. Their company knew my fame and connections, so they released new clothes for 3 consecutive seasons. The clothes I designed were all the main products, and the sales were all very good. Li Hui's clothes were also very good, but the sales were average, and the salary I signed with their company was also transparent. Think about it this way, my salary is higher than hers, and the products are also the most popular on the market, so the commission is higher than hers. As an internal designer of the company, she actually couldn't overshadow my limelight, so she might have become hostile towards me because of this. Then you said that you two quarreled at the meeting. What was that about? I asked, not understanding. Well, it was during the 4th season's new design department. The company asked me to still be the main designer, and she wasn't happy. At the meeting, she said that she wouldn't release new clothes this time because she didn't want to be stepped on by me. She also said that my work was plagiarized. If she had said anything else, I wouldn't have refuted her, but she said that my work was plagiarized because I worked from dawn to dusk to create them. After she said that, I became agitated and directly refuted her at the meeting. In the end, the company's management was very angry. They cancelled Li Li's new clothes and her quarterly bonus. She was so angry that she took a long leave of absence. I couldn't think of anyone who could harm me. After listening to Xinyao, I nodded thoughtfully. Xinyao held my hand and said softly, "I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I've implicated you. I really didn't think that something like this would happen. I've also implicated you and the Red Baron. She's just out of danger, and I feel like a sinner. You've told Xiao Kei everything, right? Xiao Kei seems to want to get rid of these people from the root. We already know who the person who targeted Xiao Kei is. This matter should be solved soon. Suri looked at me. I've already told Duanmu Quebec. He said that he knows how to solve this problem. He said that it will be solved soon. He asked me to take good care of Xinyao. After listening to Suri, I was suddenly worried about Duanmu Quebec. He had shouldered everything by himself. Could he do it alone? What if something happened like the other day? I was really worried. I thought for a moment and decided to give Duanmu Kei a call. I dialed Duanmu Kei's number. It took a while for someone to pick up. Duanmu Kei's call was answered by a woman's voice. I was stunned. Who are you? Why are you picking up Xiao Kei's call? Oh no. Young Master Kei is with me right now. I want to take him to the hospital, but he doesn't want to go. Do you know young Master Kei? If you know him, can you come to the basketball court? What? What hospital? What happened? Who are you? How is Xiao Kei? Put him on the phone. I suddenly panicked. Did something happen to Xiao Kei again? The answer came from the other side of the phone. I'm from Kurosawa. Young Master Kei just took us to find those people who had a conflict in the bar. Originally, we wanted to leave them to us, but when we saw those people, young Master Kei directly rushed to the front and wrestled with those people. When we saw young Master Kei rush forward, we followed him. When we finally knocked them down, young Master Kei fell to the ground. We originally wanted to take him to the hospital, but he didn't agree and even shouted at us. We didn't dare to disobey his orders, so we could only arrange for our brothers to take those people to the police station first. You're at the basketball court? Is it the basketball court of those people? I'll go there right now. Oh right, I'm Cold Glaze. Thank you for taking care of Xiao Quebec. I'll be there right away. Then I hung up the phone. Suri looked at me and said, What's wrong? Big miss. Did something happen to young Master Duanmu? I nodded and looked at him and said, It should be. Something might have happened. Xiao Kei seems to have taken care of those people. I have to go there. You stay with Xinyao. I'll go to the basketball court and take a look. If the situation isn't right, I'll call you. With my current identity, they can't do whatever they want. With that, I took my bag and left. On the way to the basketball court, I drove very fast. I was a bit hesitant. What if the person who picked up the phone was lying? What if he was just tricking me? Did something really happen to Xiao Kei? I shouldn't worry about it for now. I'll know when I get there. He took the risk for me. I can't harm him for my own benefit. Finally, I arrived at the basketball court. After I parked the car, I ran inside. There weren't many people in the basketball court. In the far corner of the basketball court, I saw a messy pile of sticks on the ground. It seemed like there was a fight here. A person was lying on a chair next to the basketball court, and another person was sitting next to him. I quickly walked over. Sure enough, the person lying on the chair was Duanmu Kei, and the person sitting next to him should be the person who picked up the phone. I couldn't care about anything else. I ran to Duanmu Kei's side and looked at him. His body was dirty. The dust and blood had stained his white shirt. There were injuries on his face too. There was a blood stain at the corner of his mouth. I reached out and touched his face gently. The moment I touched his face, Duanmu Kei immediately opened his eyes. He reached out and twisted my arm in the opposite direction. Ah! I screamed. It was only then that he realized it was me. Chapter 185. Shaoli? Why is it you? I didn't hurt you, did I? When Duanmu Kei saw me, he quickly sat up and let go of me. He gently massaged my wrist. It hurts, right? I didn't do it on purpose. I thought someone was going to attack me. I shook my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. I'm fine. What about you? How are you? Your subordinate called me and told me that you were injured and didn't want to go to the hospital.
I hurried over. Duanmuke looked at me and smiled. He reached out and hugged me.
Thank you. Thank you for being so worried about me.
I haven't finished my business here.
When I'm done, I'll go to the hospital for a checkup.
You still have things you haven't finished? I leaned on Duanmuke's shoulder and asked softly.
Yeah, I still have to go to the police station to deal with the aftermath.
Duanmuke gently stroked my hair.
At this moment, the man standing next to Duanmuke walked over. He looked at us and said, "Young Master K, leave the rest to me. You should go to the hospital to deal with your wound."
Duanmuke let go of me. He turned to look at the man and said softly, "That's good too. You go and take care of it. If there's anything you can't handle, give me a call and I'll rush over. I'm really tired and want to rest."
All right, young Master Quebec.
I'll take my leave. Then, the man left. Duanmuke turned to look at me and smiled. Before I could react, he reached out and hugged me tightly.
I was a little stunned. I leaned on his shoulder and asked,
What's wrong? Is it okay to leave the matter to him?
It's okay. I trust this child. Just let him deal with it.
I'm really tired. I want to rest. Can you stay with me for a while? Duanmuke hugged me tightly.
It was as though he was searching for the warmth that he had lost.
He was afraid of losing it. I thought about it for a moment. Han Hao was taking care of the Red Baron, and Suri was taking care of Xinyao.
This made me happy.
I nodded and said, "Okay, I'll accompany you. How about we go to the hospital first?
Your wound is pretty deep.
If we don't treat it quickly, it might get infected. Xiao Ke, I'll take you to the hospital."
Duanmuke shook his head and said softly, "I don't want to go to the hospital."
I really don't want to go.
Let's go back to the villa in the suburbs.
How about you stay with me until tomorrow?
I looked at Duanmuke and said softly, "I'll give Han Hao and Suri a call and see how things are going.
They're taking care of 2 girls for me. I feel a little guilty."
Duanmuke thought for a moment and nodded in agreement.
I took out my phone and called Han Hao first. "Xiao Hao, it's Xiao Li. How's the Red Baron? Did the transfer go well?" "It went well. Don't worry. I've arranged for a caretaker. She'll take care of the Red Baron 24/7. The Red Baron is resting in the hospital room. Her condition is pretty good. She's sleeping right now. I won't let you two talk on the phone."
Okay. Thank you.
I have some things that I can't get through today.
Xiao Ke's matter has been settled, but he's injured.
He doesn't have anyone by his side. I have to stay by his side.
Is that okay?
It's been hard on you. You have to take care of the Red Baron. My words were a little weak. I felt a little apologetic about leaving the Red Baron in Han Hao's care.
Han Hao thought for a moment and then said, "Okay. That's not a problem."
"Is Xiao Ke okay?" "It's fine as long as he's okay. I'll take care of the Red Baron."
"You're fine.
Call me if anything happens."
"Okay, I got it. Thank you, Xiao Hao."
"If anything happens to the Red Baron, you have to let me know." Then, I hung up.
Duanmuke watched me make the call. His expression was very calm.
It didn't seem like he was unhappy. I looked at him and smiled. I have to call Suri. I picked up my phone and was about to call Suri, but Duanmuke stopped me. He looked at me and said softly, "I've already called Suri. He and Xinyao are doing well. I've already applied for leave for you. You just have to focus on staying with me." Duanmuke reached out and touched my face. He smiled and looked at me. Then, he gently kissed me on the lips.
I was stunned by the sudden kiss. Duanmuke looked at me with a smile and said softly, "Silly, you look really good when you're stunned.
Let's go. I'm tired. Come home with me." I smiled and reached out to hug Duanmuke tightly.
I said softly, "Xiao Ke, it's been hard on you. You've done so much for me."
"I'm really sorry that you got hurt." I quietly leaned into Duanmu K's embrace. I hadn't felt this warmth in a long time. I didn't expect to have this embrace again after the divorce. Moreover, I took the initiative to hug Duanmu Quebec. I didn't know why I took the initiative. Maybe it was because I missed the time I spent with Duanmu Quebec. Therefore, I especially cherished this hug because it was warm and came from the bottom of my heart. Duanmu K and I went on the road to the villa in the suburbs. On the way back, I bought some groceries. I wanted to go back and cook something delicious for Duanmu Quebec. After thinking about it, I remembered that I hadn't cooked for him for a long time. When I was in poor health, he took care of me. He was such a clean man, and he was willing to cook for me. I should take good care of him this time. I decided to prepare a sumptuous dinner for him. When we arrived at the villa, I hurriedly treated Duanmu K's wounds. Duanmu K lay on the bed. I brought the first aid kit to his side and helped him take off his shirt. Duanmu K's body was still in good shape, but there were many big and small wounds on his body. My heart ached when I saw them. I used an alcohol cotton ball to gently wipe his wounds. Duanmu K lay on the bed with his eyes closed. He frowned and looked like he was in pain. I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. I asked softly, "Does it hurt a lot?" Duanmu K shook his head and looked at me. "I'm fine, Xiao Li. Don't be afraid." The alcohol cotton ball stimulated the wounds. "It doesn't hurt too much. Just bear with it and you'll be fine." I nodded and looked at Duanmu Quebec. "Bear with it. I'll be gentle." I continued to treat Duanmu K's wounds. There were more than a dozen wounds, big and small. When I finally finished treating him, there were a lot of bandages on his body. Looking at his funny appearance, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Duanmu K looked at me and chuckled. He extended his hand and pulled my arm. I fell into his embrace and Duanmu K hugged me tightly. Chapter 186. I lay in Duanmu K's arms for a long time. I could clearly hear his heartbeat. After a while, I softly said to Duanmu K, "Xiao K, you haven't eaten yet, right? Let go of me first, I'll go make you something to eat." Then I struggled to get out of his arms. Unexpectedly, Duanmu K hugged me even tighter. He gently stroked my back and softly said to me, "Don't worry. Lie down with me for a while." I was stunned. Before I could react, Duanmu K used all his strength to carry me onto the bed. Then he flipped over and pressed me under his body. "Xiao K. Xiao K, wait a moment. Xiao K." Just as I came back to my senses, Duanmu K had already taken off all the clothes on my body in a few moves. I laid down completely naked under Duanmu K's body just like that. I was already used to it. I helplessly looked at Duanmu K and asked, "Xiao K, how much do you love taking off my clothes? It's a bit cold. Can I put them back on?" Duanmu K looked at me and sneered. He pressed on top of me and conveniently pulled the blanket over me. Duanmu K looked at me and softly stroked my face. He smiled and said, "Xiao Li, I missed you so much." He softly kissed my forehead and then lay down beside me, holding me in his arms. I didn't know why, but maybe it was because I was too sleepy. I leaned against Duanmu K's chest. I suddenly thought that Duanmu K wouldn't want to have sex with me again, right? I raised my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. In a soft voice, I said, "Xiao K, you can't move around today. You have to be good and lie down. Otherwise, you'll be done for, okay?" Duanmu K stroked my hair and immediately guessed what I was thinking. He looked at me and said, "I know. I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to quietly hug you like this and sleep with you. Don't worry, I promise you." I nodded and quietly leaned against Duanmu K's chest. I closed my eyes and felt a little sleepy. I guessed Duanmu K was also sleepy. The two of us gradually fell asleep. When I woke up again, it was already night time. Duanmu K was still hugging me. I gently raised my head. He hadn't woken up yet. I quietly sat up in his arms and looked at Duanmu Quebec. He was sleeping like a child. Seeing his honest appearance, I reached out and gently touched his face. I was afraid to wake him up, but I was also afraid that he would be too hungry when he woke up. Therefore, I decided to get up first and prepare a meal for him. I slowly climbed out of the bed and quietly went downstairs to the kitchen. I began to prepare dinner for Douanmu, Quebec. I tried to keep my voice as low as possible, afraid that I would wake him up. I made 4 dishes, all of which were light and nutritious. When I was almost done, it was time to wake Douanmu K up. I quietly walked upstairs. When I entered the bedroom, I saw that Douanmu K was still sleeping. I walked to the bedside and sat next to him. I gently stroked his face and said, "Xiao K, it's time to get up and eat. You still need to take your medicine later." Douanmu K moved a little. He rubbed his eyes and rolled over to sleep again. I gently patted Douanmu K's shoulder twice and said helplessly, "Xiao K, hurry up and get up. The food is getting cold. Xiao K, hurry up and get up." Douanmu K rolled over and finally woke up. He rubbed his sleepy eyes and looked at me. "Xiaoli, what time is it? It's already night time. Hurry up and get up. I've already prepared dinner. Do you want to eat here or go downstairs?" Douanmu K sat up and looked at me. "Let's go downstairs and eat." Then, he stood up from the bed. I was afraid that he would be cold, so I put on a loose t-shirt for him. Then, I pulled him to the dining room. I brought the food to the table. Douanmu K sat down. When he saw the food, he said in surprise, "Oh my God, you made so much delicious food. I'm just hungry. This is great." Douanmu K picked up a mouthful of food and put it in his mouth. Then, he nodded and said, "It's so delicious. I haven't eaten such delicious food in a long time." I sat across from him and smiled at him. "Eat slowly. Don't rush. I won't fight with you. You can have it all." Douanmu K looked at me as he ate. "Xiaoli, before I lost my memory, were we living such a happy life? I didn't know that you could cook so well. Is it too late for me to find out now?" I shook my head and looked at Douanmu, Quebec. "Don't bring up the past. Do you feel better? Does your wound still hurt?" "Much better. After sleeping, I feel much better." "It's late. It seems that we slept for a long time. Xiaoli, are you asleep?" I nodded and said, "I slept soundly." I nodded. "I fell asleep, and I slept very soundly. When I woke up, you were still sleeping, so I didn't wake you up. First, I'll prepare the meal. As long as you're okay, it's fine. I'll check on you later, and I'll change the bandages frequently. I can't let the wound get infected." Douanmu K looked at me in shock. Then, he smiled pervertedly at me. "Does that mean you have to check my whole body?" I immediately understood Douanmu K's true meaning. I extended my hand and lightly knocked on Douanmu K's head. With a face full of disdain, I said, "Your head is full of nonsensical thoughts. You should heal your injuries first before we talk about it." Douanmu K put down his chopsticks and looked at me. "I was just joking with you. Isn't that normal? My body is fine. I'm fine." I thought for a moment and nodded. "That's good. Let's eat. Eat more." I stayed by Douanmu K's side and watched him eat. I was in a good mood. I felt as if I had returned to the time when I was with Douanmu, Quebec unconsciously. Whenever I saw him, my mood would improve. The baby in my belly should be able to feel my happy mood. After dinner, Douanmu K and I cleaned up the kitchen. I suggested that we go for a walk in the garden. Douanmu K agreed. He put his arm around my shoulder and accompanied me for a walk in the garden. The night air was nice. I leaned against Douanmu K's chest and felt very calm. Douanmu K hugged me. He gently stroked my hair and said, "You're acting a little strange today. Why are you suddenly taking the initiative to hug me? In the past, when I wanted to hug you, you would struggle. Today, I'm not used to it." I leaned tightly into Douanmu K's embrace, hugging him as I said softly, "Let me hug you quietly for a while." I don't know how much longer I can hug you. I admit that I can't forget my feelings for you, but I can't accept your love for me. Chapter 187. Duanmu K nodded. He held me in his arms and said softly, "You can hug me as long as you want. I want to hug you like this forever, you know? I missed you so much. After you kicked me out that day, I didn't sleep at all after I got home. I've been thinking about why you rejected me. Even if you said you didn't love me and wanted to choose Han Hao, I wouldn't mind. But why did you reject both of us? Don't you need someone to take care of you and take care of your heart?" I rubbed myself against Duanmu K's chest and said softly, "No need. I don't want to hurt either of you. Both of you are too strong-willed. If I hurt either of you, it would cause you to break down. Wouldn't I be a bad person then?" Duanmu K hugged me and said softly, "Silly, you think too much. Alright, let's not talk about this. At least I'm glad that you didn't reject me. I still have a chance. If Xiao Hao knew that you were hugging me like this, he would be furious." I looked up at Duanmu K and said, "Xiao Hao knows that I'm with you. Of course, he also knows that I still love you. But when he finds out, he doesn't feel good. I can see that. But no matter what, he's been very good to me. He's protected me a lot and did a lot of things for me. I'm very grateful to him. But you don't want to thank him with love because you only have me in your heart." Duanmu K looked at me. He lifted my chin and kissed me deeply. I looked up at Duanmu K and said softly, "Let's go back. It's getting late. I want to call Xiao Hao and Suri and see how they are doing. I'm afraid that they're hiding something from me." Duanmu K nodded and looked at me. "Alright, you call Suri. I have something to say to Han Hao. You're not going to tell Han Hao what I told you, are you?" I looked at Duanmu K with disdain. Duanmu K gently scratched my nose and smiled. "I'm not as stupid as you think. Don't think too much about things between men. Hurry up and call Suri." I nodded and walked to the side to call Suri. "Suri, how are you and Xinyao at home? Is her condition better?" Suri's voice. "Xinyao's condition is good. She's playing with Susu now. She's back to how she used to be." "That's good. It's fine as long as you guys are fine. Are you and young Master Duanmu okay? Is young Master Duanmu okay with his injuries?" "We're fine. Don't worry." "Oh, that's right. I remember now. Just now, the brothers in our society received the latest notice. Li Hui, the person who hired the assassin to harm Xinyao, will be attending the new product launch in China. She will be flying to a city tomorrow. Xinyao has also just received the notice to attend the launch. I'm afraid that she will take the opportunity to frame Xinyao again. Although I can protect Xinyao, my ability is still limited. Moreover, without an invitation, no one can enter the conference. Our brothers in the society certainly can't enter the venue, so the protection will be greatly reduced." "Eldest Miss, what do you think about this matter? How about this?" I thought for a moment. "Tell Xinyao to go as usual tomorrow. Ask Xinyao to get you a ticket. You can go with her. Then arrange for our brothers to stand guard outside. Tomorrow, I'll go with Xiao Quebec. When the time comes, we'll stay by Xinyao's side. The four of us should be fine." "I think it's fine." "Then it's settled. I'll send you the address of the launch later. If there's anything, just call me. I won't disturb the two of you." "Alright, no need to thank me. Please call me Lei Feng. I'm hanging up." He hung up before I could scold him. I shook my head helplessly. I looked at Duanmu Quebec. He hadn't hung up yet. I thought for a moment and decided to go back to the living room to wait for him. While I was at it, I tidied up the room. The last time the two of us came here, the room was in a mess. I walked to the living room and started to tidy it up. When I was almost done, Duanmu K walked in from outside. When he saw me tidying up the room, he hurried over to help me. I looked at Duanmu K and said softly, "You finished your call with Han Hao? How's the Red Baron? Is there any problem?" Duan Mu Ke looked at me and said, "Pretty good. Xiao Hao told me that the Red Baron's vitals are all normal. He's resting right now. The doctor said that he can be discharged in a week. He's accompanying the Red Baron now. I heard that he's also arranging accommodation. He took into account that the Red Baron is a girl, so he rented a bed in the ward next door. He told you not to worry." I nodded and said softly, "All right, I'm sorry to trouble him." I looked at Duan Mu Ke and said softly, "What else did you say to him?" Duan Mu Ke smiled and looked at me. "Nothing much. I just told him that we should go out for a meal one day. It's been a long time since us two brothers have eaten or gone shopping together." Black lines appeared on my face as I looked at Duan Mu Quebec. I said softly, "So you two men always go out for a meal when you have nothing to do? Heavens, you're just like girls." Duan Mu Ke put his arm around my waist and said softly, "Silly, Xiao Hao and I have similar tastes. We often go out for a walk together, but it's not strange. We're often hit on by girls we meet, but we're often mistaken for good friends. It seems like us two men shouldn't go out for a walk together." I smiled and looked at him. "I'm not saying it's bad. I just think it's weird. Next time you two go out for a walk, take me with you, okay?" "I don't want to. We have a lot of things to talk about, and it's not convenient for us to have you in the middle. Let us two good friends be alone." "Don't worry, I won't quarrel with him. After all, we've been brothers for so many years. By the way, how's Xinyao doing?" I thought about what Suri had told me. I thought that I should tell Duan Mu Ke, so I told him what had happened. I looked at Duan Mu Ke and said, "Do you think there's a problem with my arrangement? Or should we think of a way to bring our brothers into the venue? I'm afraid that we won't be able to protect Xinyao. That woman is too scheming. If she tries to harm Xinyao, I don't know what will happen." Chapter 188. Duan Mu Ke shook his head and looked at me. "That won't be necessary. If we bring our buddies in, Li Hui will definitely get suspicious. After all, everyone in the circle knows each other. Even if they don't know each other, they should at least look familiar. If you bring your buddies in and she doesn't recognize them, then there will definitely be problems. Let's just go with the few of us. As for the invitation, you don't have to worry. Someone at the entrance will give it to me, but you'll need to wear formal attire." Duan Mu Ke looked at the time. "It's not convenient to buy formal attire right now." I thought for a moment and looked at Duan Mu Quebec. "Xiao Ke, how about I go home and get it? I have a few sets at home." Duan Mu Ke shook his head and looked at me. He gently caressed my face and said, "That won't do. Those designs are all old. I don't want you to wear an old gown tomorrow. I don't want others to look at you with mocking eyes. I definitely won't allow that. How about this? We'll go buy it tomorrow morning. Wait for me to contact someone first." Duan Mu Ke sat on the sofa and hugged me. He picked up his phone and fiddled with it for a while. Then he looked at me and said, "Okay, it's done." I looked at him with a puzzled expression. "What's done? Who did you contact?" "That's a secret. I'll tell you tomorrow. Let's go. It's time to go to bed with me. I still want to sleep naked." Duan Mu Ke looked at me with a perverted smile. That expression made me want to punch him. Overruled. Before I could retort, Duan Mu Ke interrupted me. He looked at me and softly said, "Be good. This is a rare opportunity. You have to listen to me today. Let's go upstairs." Before I could react, Duan Mu Ke picked me up and carried me upstairs. That night, the two of us slept soundly. Duan Mu Ke didn't do anything to me. He just stripped me naked and hugged me to sleep the whole night. Although I was speechless at his strange fetish, I still cherished the rare chance to spend time alone with Duan Mu Quebec. I had already expressed my true feelings to him, and he knew my feelings. I didn't want to hide anything from him. Although I still couldn't calm my heart down to accept him, I believed that time was the best medicine to heal all wounds. After a long time, everything would be fine. The next morning, I woke up early. Duanmu K hadn't woken up yet. I gently kissed him on the cheek. He gently rubbed his eyes, but he still didn't wake up. That lazy pig. I quietly got up and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. My heart was still very complicated. After a week after the Red Baron was discharged from the hospital, I might have to prepare to go abroad. At that time, I didn't know when I would be able to return to China. I didn't know how many more times I could spend alone with Duanmu Quebec. At least before the baby was born, I could let her have more contact with her biological father. Speaking of which, it was strange. The baby had been very quiet for the past 2 days, and didn't have much of a reaction. It seemed that he also knew that Duanmu K was his biological father. Blood relations were really strange things. While I was concentrating on preparing breakfast in the kitchen, someone suddenly hugged me from behind. I was startled. Duanmu K gently kissed my neck from behind. I was startled. Duanmu K said softly, "What are you doing, darling?" My face turned red. I whispered to Duanmu K, "I'm making breakfast. It's almost done. You should go and wash up." Duanmu K turned me around and gently kissed my forehead. Then, he went to wash up. I put the breakfast on the dining table. Duanmu K also finished washing up. The two of us had a simple bite. Before I could clean up the kitchen, Duanmu K pulled me out of the villa. He said that he would take me to buy a dress. I looked at myself carefully. I was still wearing yesterday's clothes. They were wrinkled and covered in dust. Duanmu K seemed to see my dilemma. Duanmu K drove the car and smiled at me. "Don't worry. I'll buy you a normal dress." I reached into my pocket. Because I was in a hurry, I only brought my phone. I didn't even bring my bag. I suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I looked at Duanmu K and said in a low voice, "I forgot my backpack. The money is in my bag." Duanmu K looked at me and said with a smile, "Idiot, you came out with me to shop, how could I let you spend money?" "Don't worry, I brought it. Also, I have a present for you later." I looked at Duanmu K with a puzzled face. "What gift?" I asked in a low voice. Duanmu K said in a low voice, "You'll know when the time comes." Looking at Duanmu K's mysterious face, I didn't want to ask anymore. I just sat quietly in the front passenger seat. When we arrived at the shopping center, Duanmu K held my hand and walked inside. After all, this was a Kurosawa place, and the news of our divorce wasn't a secret. When we arrived at the shopping center, everyone looked at me with a surprised expression. I suddenly felt a little embarrassed and lowered my head. Duanmu K didn't shy away. He put his arm around my shoulder and said in a low voice, "Don't be afraid. Let them talk about it. You just need to know how I feel about you." I understood what he meant and nodded. Duanmu K took me to a clothing store that I often went to. The clerk recognized me immediately. Since she had been here many times, she knew what kind of style I liked. Duanmu K followed the clerk's recommendation and helped me choose 2 sets of clothes that I usually wore. His taste wasn't bad. They were all styles that I liked. I didn't refuse and obediently changed into them as he asked. After changing, I came out of the dressing room and saw Duanmu K sitting in the lounge. I walked over to him. At this time, the clerk also came over. She looked at Duanmu K and said in a low voice, "Young Master Duanmu, the designer Tony just called. He said that he will be in the store soon." "Okay, I know. Did he bring the things I asked him to bring?" Duanmu K asked in a low voice. "He said that he brought them." "That's good. Let's wait for him." Duanmu K looked at me and smiled. I sat next to him and asked in a low voice, "Who is Tony?" "You asked him to bring you something. What is it?" Duanmu K put his arm around my shoulder and said in a low voice, "You'll know when he comes. Don't worry." Duanmu K's intimate behavior towards me was seen by everyone in the store. I also saw a few people whispering to each other. I was afraid that it would affect Duanmu K's reputation. I said in a low voice, "Xiao K, let me go."
There are so many people here.
It won't be good if they see us.
After all, we are divorced.
Chapter 189. Duanmu-Ke didn't let go of my hand. He looked at me and said, "What are you afraid of?
We're already divorced.
You won't allow us to date.
Don't think about other messy things.
Tony will be here soon." I didn't know what to say. It seemed that Tony was really mysterious. Since Duanmu-Ke asked me to wait, I could only wait. After a while, a fashionably dressed man walked in. He saw Duanmu-Ke at first glance and walked straight to him. He smiled and greeted Duanmu-Quebec. "Hi, young Master Quebec, sorry I'm late."
Duanmu-Ke stood up, and I followed him.
Duanmu-Ke smiled and looked at him.
"Not at all. Long time no see, Tony.
Let me introduce you.
This is Cold Glaze."
Duanmu-Ke introduced me to Tony. I looked at Tony and nodded with a smile.
"Hello."
Tony also looked at me and smiled. He looked at Duanmu-Ke and said, "The figure you told me about is really just right. Miss Lung will definitely be able to wear the gown.
Let her try it on."
Then, Tony took out a box from behind him. The packaging was very exquisite. He handed it to Duanmu-Ke and I and opened it. The moment I opened it, I was stunned. An exquisite white gown lay in the box. The quality was very good. I looked at Duanmu-Ke in surprise. He smiled and looked at me. He gently stroked my head and said, "Go and try it on. If it doesn't fit, Tony is here. He can change it for you." I nodded and carried the gown into the changing room.
After closing the door, I opened the gown and found that it was really beautiful. The style was definitely very novel.
It was different from the ordinary gowns I usually saw. The style was exactly what I liked. It seemed that Duanmu-Ke understood me very well. I put on the gown and it fit me very well. Since there was no mirror in the changing room, I walked out after putting it on. When I stood in front of Duanmu-Ke, everyone present was shocked.
Tony looked at me and shouted, "Perfect."
"It's too perfect. I think only Miss Lung can wear this gown.
It's practically made for her." Everyone, including the customers in the store and the staff in the store, stood there and looked at me in shock.
Duanmu-Ke looked at me and smiled. He reached out his hand and knelt in front of me. He looked at me and said softly, "Miss, can I hold your hand?" I looked at him and smiled. I reached out my hand to hold Duanmu-Ke's hand. He stood up and held me tightly in his arms. He gently stroked my face and looked at me.
He said, "Xiaoli, you are so beautiful.
I knew that Tony's gown would suit you, but I didn't know that you would look so beautiful in it. What should I do? I've been poisoned by you. Hurry up and treat me." Then, Duanmu-Ke kissed me deeply on the lips.
I blushed.
Duanmu-Ke hugged me. I leaned into his arms and looked at Duanmu-Ke embarrassedly.
I said softly, "Don't be like this.
Everyone is watching.
Let go of me first."
Duanmu-Ke didn't let go of me. He gently hugged my waist and then whispered into my ear, "What are you afraid of? I like you. It's not like you don't know that. Be good, let me hug you for a while." Black lines appeared on my face as I leaned into Duanmu-Ke's embrace and helplessly rolled my eyes. After a while, Duanmu-Ke let go of me. He looked at Tony and smiled.
"Tony, thank you.
I am very satisfied.
Thank you for helping me solve my urgent problem."
Tony smiled and looked at Duanmu-Quebec. "It's okay. It's what I should do. Is there anything you need to change in the gown?" I let go of Duanmu-Ke and walked in front of the full-length mirror. I looked at myself. It really looked good. I looked at Tony and said, "It's perfect. There's no need to change it." Duanmu-Ke smiled and looked at Tony. "If Xiaoli says there's no need to change it, then there's no need to change it." Duanmu-Ke looked down at his watch. "It's almost time.
We should go to the press conference." We said goodbye to Tony and headed to the press conference. Duanmu-Ke drove the car. I put on the new gown and sat in the front passenger seat.
In order to match the gown, Duanmu K had specially picked out a handbag for me. The handbag wasn't cheap, and it really matched the gown. I fiddled with the handbag. Duanmu K turned to look at me and said softly, "What's wrong? You don't like this handbag? There's still time. Why don't we go somewhere else and pick one for you?" I shook my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. "No, I really like this handbag. It matches the gown very well. But how do you know this designer named Tony?" Duanmu K smiled and said, "You mean him? He's a friend of mine, and he's also a fashion designer. Although he's not as famous as Xinyao, he mainly designs women's clothing, and his style is very unique. I wanted to buy a gown for you, but the gowns on the market were too ordinary, and couldn't bring out your aura. I thought of him, and when I talked to him yesterday, he immediately agreed. He said he had just designed a gown, but it wasn't on the market yet. I said I wanted to buy it, and he said he would give it to me as a gift. I was very surprised at the time, but I didn't know why, so I told him I would give it to him later. Then, he asked me if I wanted to see a woman's figure in the gown. I told him then, and he said he wanted to make some changes to the gown. I didn't think much of it at the time, but he made the changes just right. He really is a famous designer. You still remember my size?" I looked at Duanmu K in surprise. I couldn't believe it. Duanmu K looked at me and smiled. "Of course, I don't know anything about you." I blushed. I didn't know why, but when I heard Duanmu K say that, I felt a little perverted. Duanmu K reached out and stroked my hair. "All right, little fool, don't think too much. You don't have a suitable hairstyle for such a beautiful gown. When we get there, I'll do it for you. You know how to do hairstyles." I looked at Duanmu K in surprise, my face full of disbelief. I had been with him for a long time, but I didn't know he had so many skills. When we arrived near the press conference, I was about to get out of the car when Duanmu K pulled me back. He turned my back to him and whispered, "Come on, hurry up. I'll do your hair first." Duanmu K began to play with my hair. His movements were very skillful. I took out my phone from my bag and turned it to selfie mode. I looked at myself in the mirror. Duanmu K was carefully doing my hair. It was very beautiful. I looked at him through the phone. He looked so handsome when he was serious. I put down the phone and whispered to Duanmu K, "I didn't expect you to be so amazing." Chapter 190. After a while, Duanmu K was done. I picked up my phone and looked at it again. It really was a perfect hairstyle. It didn't lose out to my usual hairstylist. I was very satisfied. I turned to look at Duanmu K and said softly, "Thank you. I'm very satisfied." Duanmu K reached out and played with the hair on my head. He looked at me and said softly, "Not bad, very beautiful. It's about time, let's go in." I just saw Su Rue at the door. He just went in with Xinyao. "Let's go in too. The person who wants to give me the ticket is also at the door. Let's go in." I nodded and followed Duanmu K out of the car. When we reached the entrance, a man appeared and handed Duanmu K 2 tickets. Duanmu K looked at me and said, "Let's go in." I was stunned. I thought for a moment and looked at Duanmu Quebec. I want to give Xiao Hao a call first. I want to tell him and ask him about the Red Baron. Duanmu K thought for a moment and nodded. I walked to the side and dialed Han Hao's number. "Xiao Hao, it's Xiao Li. Thank you for your hard work. How's the Red Baron?" "The Red Baron is fine. She's recovering well. You don't need to worry. How are you? Are you feeling better?" "I'm fine. I have something to tell you. Xinyao's company is launching a new product today. The person who attacked Xinyao might appear today. I'm worried about Xinyao. Xiao K and I came here. We might not be able to go to the hospital until later. Thank you for your hard work." "It's okay. Be careful. You must take care of yourself. Don't rush into things on your own." "Okay, I'm going to take the Red Baron for a checkup. We'll talk again when you're done." Then, he hung up the phone. I walked back to Duanmu K and looked at him with a smile. Duanmu K looked at me with a smile. Then, he held my hand and walked into the launch. As soon as we entered the venue, we bumped into Xinyao and Suri. Xinyao saw me smiling and threw herself at me. I didn't have time to defend myself. She jumped into my arms and rubbed against my chest. She smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, you're here. Why did you bring my brother?" "I didn't miss him. I missed you." I had long been accustomed to Xinyao's tormenting manner, so I couldn't use a fierce attitude towards her. I had to coax her. I gently patted Xinyao's back and said softly, "Little Xinyao, quickly get up, there are so many people here, and today is your new product, you have to maintain your image. If you want to get tired of it, wait until the two of us get tired of it at home, alright?" Xinyao stood up from my arms. She looked at me and nodded thoughtfully. "Okay, I'll listen to you. Sister-in-law, I'll arrange your and my brother's seats." I pulled Suri over and asked softly, "How is it? Has everything been arranged?" Suri nodded. He looked at me and Duanmu K and said, "Everything has been arranged. Outside the venue are our brothers. Inside the venue, I've also arranged for a few of our people to disguise themselves as staff members. However, we still haven't seen Li Hui. I don't know what she's going to do next. It feels like we're in the dark while she's in the light. We're at a disadvantage. I really don't know what she's going to do." I thought for a moment and glanced at the venue. I asked Xinyao, "Little Xinyao, have you arranged your seat?" "Yes, I've arranged it. It's arranged, in the first row, it's already arranged. Our seats are installed by the company, so I don't need to worry about it. I've also arranged your seats, it's just behind me. I specifically requested it from the company, and they gave me face and readily agreed." "Oh right, sister-in-law, why do you suddenly want to ask this?" Xinyao asked with a puzzled face. I turned to look at Duanmu Quebec. He obviously understood my thoughts. Duanmu K looked at Xinyao and patted her shoulder. "Xinyao, listen to your sister-in-law. Later, you'll change seats with someone else. We'll sit behind your original seat. But don't tell anyone why you're changing seats." "Oh right, why hasn't that woman come yet? Is she not coming, or is she not coming at all, so she arranged for someone else to assassinate you?" "She's here." Xinyao looked at the entrance, and we followed her gaze. A group of people walked in from the entrance. Among the group of people in black, there was a small figure. She wore a black dress and held an exquisite bag in her hand. Her hair was tied up in curls, and from her sharp eyes, I could tell she wasn't someone easy to deal with. I looked at her and whispered to Xinyao, "Is she Li Hui?" Xinyao sneered and said disdainfully, "That's her. Look at her. She's obviously been removed from the main designers list. This time, only a few outfits were designed by her. The rest were designed by me and other designers. Look at her entrance. She's as ostentatious as a celebrity. She really thinks she's someone important." While we were talking, Li Hui bypassed the crowd and walked toward us. She stopped in front of Xinyao and looked at us. Then, she looked at Xinyao and said, "Long time no see, Duanmu Xinyao. These are your friends, right? Have you arranged a seat? If not, I'll find someone to do it for you." Xinyao looked a little angry. Suri interrupted and smiled at Li Hui. "No, thank you. We already have a seat." Li Hui turned her head and looked at Su Rue. She smiled and reached out her hand in front of Su Rue. "Hello, handsome. My name is Li Hui. I see that you have a good figure. Do you want to be my model?" she said softly. Xinyao couldn't hold it in anymore. She turned and shook off Li Hui's hand. She looked at Li Hui and smiled. "Put away your intentions. You actually found my man to be your model. It's hard to be quick. My boyfriend is such an excellent model. It's inevitable that he would be chosen by a famous designer." Li Hui smiled and withdrew her hand. She looked at Xinyao and said, "So he's your boyfriend. He really suits you. You guys talk. I'm going to take a seat. Then, she smiled evilly and turned to leave. Looking at Li Hui's figure, Xinyao was so angry that she stomped her feet. She looked at Li Hui's figure and said very angrily, "Too infuriating. Look at her arrogant appearance. It's really disgusting." Before, people in the company said that she had an unusual relationship with the company's vice president. I didn't take it seriously. Now, she actually hooked up with Su Rue. She's too cheap. She's the second bitch I know. Suri gently patted Xinyao's shoulder. "Honey, don't be angry. She'll be even more proud of you," he said softly. Chapter 191. Xinyao looked at Li Hui, who had already taken her seat. She sneered and said, "I won't let that woman have her way. Dear guests and friends, please take your seats. Our press conference is about to begin." The host's voice came from the broadcast. It seemed the press conference was about to begin. I looked at Xinyao and patted her shoulder. She looked at me and nodded. The few of us walked to our assigned seats. Xinyao was very obedient. She changed seats with the girl in the corner. I deliberately observed Li Hui's expression. She slightly furrowed her brows. If I guessed correctly, she might really want to frame Xinyao today. Duanmu Ke sat next to me. I whispered in his ear, "Xiao Ke, I just saw Li Hui furrow her brows. I think she might really be planning something today. You should be careful. Although Xinyao isn't sitting in her original seat, I'm afraid she might have a backup plan. If possible, when the designer comes on stage, you should take Xinyao away." Duanmu Ke looked at me. He put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Suri and I will stay. You and Xinyao go first. It's settled. I'm still worried about you staying here." Looking at Duanmu Ke's smiling face, I didn't have any reason to refuse. Duanmu Ke tightly hugged my shoulder, and my face flushed. At this time, Suri sent me a message. I stole a glance at Duanmu Quebec. He was looking at the stage and wasn't looking at me. I quickly picked up my phone to check Suri's message. After reading it, I smiled. Suri had sent me a message. "Looking at you and Duanmu Ke together, I think you two are a good match. If possible, stay together and don't miss out on each other." I turned my head to look at Suri. He was also looking at Xinyao. It seemed that he was also worried. Not long after we sat down, the fashion show officially began. Just like other fashion shows, the models walked the runway. I turned my head to look at Xinyao. She was chatting enthusiastically with her colleagues. It seemed that she was fine, but I couldn't relax too much. Throughout the entire show, my focus was not on the performance. After the show, it was time for all the fashion designers to go up on stage to give their thanks. Xinyao also had to go up on stage. Moreover, as the finale, she had to say a few words. As long as I could endure until she finished speaking and got off the stage, I could safely bring her home. I watched all the designers go up on stage. Li Hui also went up on stage. Suddenly, I had a very bad premonition. I was a little worried and tightly rubbed my hands. Duanmu Ke seemed to see my nervousness. He reached out and tightly held my hands. He looked at me and softly said, "Don't worry, let's see the situation first." At this time, Suri looked at me and said, "Miss, I'm going to the side stage to take a look. I'm a little worried." I nodded. It seemed that Suri had the same idea as me. He was also worried that Li Hui would do something to the stage. After all the designers were on stage, the company's leaders went on stage to give a speech. It was all the old-fashioned speech. Then, it was Xinyao's turn. We heard the host say, "Next, let's welcome the famous international designer, Miss Duanmu Xinyao, to give a speech." The audience applauded. Xinyao took a step forward. Standing under the spotlight, she looked very elegant. After the applause subsided, Xinyao began to give her speech. Her speech sounded very relaxed, but my heart was still in my throat. I really didn't know what Li Hui would do. Would she stab Xinyao in the back? I didn't think so.
There were so many people here. If she did that, she would be telling everyone that she was a murderer. According to Xinyao's description, Li Hui should be a meticulous person.
She wouldn't do something so brazen. I shook my head helplessly. Suddenly, my eyes drifted upward. I saw the chandelier in the middle of the stage swaying. I looked carefully.
Because there were so many people in the venue, the room was ventilated.
The wind blew against the chandelier.
It was obvious that it was swaying.
I looked at Xinyao. She was standing right under the chandelier. I suddenly became nervous. I stood up and looked at the chandelier. It was blowing even harder. Duanmu Ke saw me stand up. He grabbed my arm and asked, "Shaoli, what's wrong? Why are you standing up?" I pointed at the chandelier. I looked at Duanmu Ke and didn't dare to speak too loudly. I was afraid that I would disturb the others. I looked at Duanmu Ke and said, "Xiao Ke, look. The chandelier is swaying. Xinyao is in danger." It was too late. As soon as I finished speaking, I looked again. The chandelier had already fallen. I shouted, "Xinyao, it's dangerous." Just as the chandelier was about to hit Xinyao, Suri suddenly rushed to the stage. He pushed Xinyao away, and the chandelier fell on Suri. "Suri!" I shouted and ran to the stage. Xinyao was scared out of her wits. The scene was in chaos, and most of the designers on the stage had run away. I glanced around. Li Hui was still standing there, looking at us with an expressionless face. However, I couldn't care less. I turned around and looked at Suri. The chandelier had broken into pieces, and Suri's forehead was bleeding. He fell to the ground, but he was still conscious. I quickly took out a tissue from my bag to stop the bleeding. Xinyao also ran to Suri. She hugged him tightly and cried to Suri, "Suri, what happened to you? Why are you so stupid? It's all my fault." Xinyao suddenly became angry. She put down Suri and walked to Li Hui. She reached out her hand and slapped Li Hui's face.
Xinyao shouted, "Li Hui, did you do this? Why are you being so aggressive?
What did I do to harm you?" Li Hui sneered and looked at Xinyao.
"What are you talking about? The chandelier falling wasn't something I could control."
"Why do you think I did it?" I handed Suri to Duanmu Ke and ran to Xinyao. I hugged her tightly and pulled her back.
I whispered to Xinyao, "Don't be so serious with her at this time. We don't have any evidence to prove that she did it. We'll talk about it later.
Let's take a look at Suri first. I don't know if he's seriously injured or not. Please take a look at him." I found an excuse to comfort Xinyao. I was afraid that she would really be angry and do something to Li Hui.
If that happened, Li Hui would be even more pleased.
Sure enough, it worked. Xinyao immediately thought of Suri. She ran to Suri and hugged him tightly. She cried and said, "Suri, how are you?" "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's all because of me. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been in danger again and again." Chapter 192. Suri was still conscious. He shook his head and looked at Xinyao. "I'm fine."
"Xinyao, you should leave this place."
"I don't know what Li Hui is going to do to you. You should leave quickly. It's too dangerous here." I turned to look at Li Hui. She wasn't there anymore.
I suddenly realized the severity of the situation. I looked at Xinyao and said, "Xinyao, take Suri to the hospital."
"I'm going to ask Li Hui."
Then, I stood up and ran to the back of the stage.
I guessed that Li Hui had left to go behind the scenes.
I followed my train of thought. If Li Hui was the one who did it, she should be in the control room of the chandelier.
I walked to the computer room. I vaguely heard someone talking. Was it really Li Hui?
I was about to go closer to listen when someone suddenly grabbed my arm. I was scared and almost screamed, but that person covered my mouth. While I was stunned, the person whispered to me, "Don't be afraid.
It's me. I saw that it was Duanmu Quebec. He signaled me not to speak. I nodded and looked at Duanmu Quebec.
He said in a low voice, I saw you coming, so I followed. You always like to run around. It's too dangerous for you to be alone. I whispered in Duanmu K's ear, lower your voice.
I heard someone talking inside. I guess it's Li Hui.
Don't talk.
Let's listen and see what they're talking about. Duanmu K nodded. Duanmu K and I quietly walked to the door of the computer room. Sure enough, we heard two people talking inside. If I guessed right, it should be Li Hui. But I didn't know who the other person was. I thought for a moment, then took out my phone and turned on the recording mode. Li Hui's voice came from inside. She said, What are you doing? Why did the chandelier fall more than a minute later than we expected? It didn't hit her, but it hit her man. But what's the use? I want her life, not her man's. How am I supposed to estimate when the chandelier will fall? Besides, why do you want to kill her? What's your goal?
Li Hui was talking to another man.
You don't have to worry about that. As long as she's in the same company as me, neither of us will have a good day. Let's not talk about other things for now. Hurry up and pack up. Based on Xinyao's character, she'll definitely come back to investigate. Don't let her find out that you have any evidence. If I can't live well, you can't live well either. Li Hui's words clearly carried a threat. I really don't want to get involved in your fight. Whatever you do to her in the future, don't drag me into it. I also don't want to work for you anymore. I promise this time I'll clean up the evidence. I hope you'll keep your promise and let my wife and child go. It turned out that Li Hui had taken this man's family hostage.
Let you go? You might be thinking too much.
Didn't you tell me that you like Duanmu Xinyao because you have a family? She rejected you again and again, but you didn't give up and thought that she looked down on you.
The first person who wanted to harm her was you, not me.
Now we're in the same boat. If I can't live well, you can't live well either. How can you be so ruthless?
I didn't think you were this kind of person.
Aren't you afraid that I'll sue you?
The man's voice was clearly trembling. It seemed that he was forced to do this. The main culprit was still Li Hui.
Sue me?
Do you think that other people will believe what you say?
Don't be stupid.
You have a motive, but I don't. If there's no direct evidence, then there's no way to say that I want to harm Duanmu Xinyao.
Don't be naive. As soon as Li Hui's voice fell, my phone suddenly rang.
I was scared and quickly hung up, but it was too late.
Who's there? Li Hui's roar came from the computer room. I turned my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. He looked at me and signaled me to calm down. I nodded. Li Hui walked out of the computer room. She looked at me and Duanmu K and thought for a moment. It's you guys? Obviously, she already knew that we were on Xinyao's side. Her expression was very serious. When she saw my phone, I guiltily hid it behind my back.
She looked at me and said, What?
You heard our conversation just now and recorded it.
Give me your phone, and I won't make things difficult for you. Li Hui extended her hand in front of me. I subconsciously took 2 steps back. At this moment, a man walked out of the room. His face was covered in stubble, and he didn't look like a good person. He looked at us and realized that his and Li Hui's scheme had been discovered. He looked at Li Hui with an evil expression. Li Hui nodded at him, and he took out a dagger from his pocket. When I saw him take out the dagger, I was shocked. I tightly grabbed Duanmu K's hand. Duanmu K looked at me and then at him. He said softly, Don't be afraid. It's just a dagger. Don't be afraid. He lowered his head and whispered into my ear, When that man rushes over, you have to turn around and run. Run to a place with a lot of people. I can stop that man, but I can't stop Li Hui. So, you have to run. Then, run home or go to the hospital to find Han Hao. Don't stay here alone. Be a good girl. Duanmu K patted my shoulder. Then, he smiled at Li Hui and the others.
Hey, what's the meaning of this? Do you want to have a fight? Li Hui looked at Duanmu Ke and said, You're Duanmu Xinyao's brother, right? I have nothing to say to you. She recorded it, and you know our plan. I won't let you leave here alive. Do it.
As soon as Li Hui finished speaking, the man rushed toward us with a dagger.
Duanmu Ke put me behind him and blocked the man with his hand.
Duanmu Ke looked at me and shouted, Xiao Li, run. Then, he started fighting with the man. The man's moves were all fierce. Duanmu Ke had to guard against him and prevent himself from getting hurt.
At the same time, he had to stop him and Li Hui from rushing towards me. However, I didn't have the heart to leave Duanmu Ke alone. It looked like Duanmu Ke wouldn't be able to stop them. Just as I didn't know what to do, Li Hui rushed in front of me.
She looked at me and said, You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit.
Give me your phone. Then, she reached out to snatch the phone from my hand. I held the phone tightly and stepped back. I saw that Duanmu Ke was wrestling with that man. He couldn't help me at all.
On one hand, I was worried about him, on the other hand, I was worried about myself.
I couldn't care less about the child in my belly. It seemed that I could only fight with Li Hui. Chapter 193. Li Hui rushed towards me and pulled out a knife from her pocket. She pointed at me and said, Hurry up and give me your phone.
Otherwise, I won't be polite to you.
I shook my head and looked at Li Hui. I wanted to stall for time, so I said to Li Hui, What's the point of doing this? Tell me first, why did you frame Xinyao? Aren't you afraid of losing your job? Li Hui sneered and looked at me.
Reason? Job?
Let me tell you, if it wasn't for Xinyao, I would be the chief designer of our company right now. It's because of her appearance. Ever since she came to our company, the company has been very fond of her and neglected me. Now that she has become the chief designer of the new product launch, the clothes she designed are the priority to be promoted. But what about mine? I've become a basic promotion. Hearing Li Hui's words, I suddenly felt that her resentment was very heavy. I glanced at Duanmu Ke and saw that he was starting to get a cold. It seems that as long as I stall for time, Duanmu Ke will be able to solve the problem. I looked at Li Hui and said, I think you're thinking too much. Don't your company have other designers? Why don't they have such a big reaction? They have already completely bowed down to Duanmu Xinyao's world-famous halo. Do they still have the mood to refute? It's good enough that they don't become her right-hand men. I'm not as brainless as them. I still think you're thinking too much. I turned my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec.
He had already pressed the man to the ground.
It seemed that the time was about right. Just as I was feeling helpless, I didn't notice Li Hui. She suddenly rushed towards me with a knife. Before I could react, she was already in front of me. She swung the knife at me. I subconsciously raised my arm to block, but Li Hui's knife directly cut my arm. I screamed in pain and fell to the ground. Duanmu Ke heard my scream.
He turned his head to look at me and shouted, Xiao Li.
What happened to you?
Xiao Li, are you all right?
Duanmu Ke reached out and knocked the man down, snatched the knife from his hand, and went straight to Li Hui. Li Hui saw the Duanmu Ke running towards her. She quickly put the knife on my neck and shouted at the Duanmu Ke, Don't come here. Come any closer and I'll slit her neck. Duanmu Ke stopped in his tracks.
He looked at me anxiously and furrowed his brows.
I shook my head and looked at Duanmu Quebec. I held my phone tightly and quietly turned on the recording button. Li Hui didn't know I had started recording. I said to Li Hui, don't be impulsive.
She looked at me and then at Duanmu Quebec. Put down the knife in your hand, or I'll do it. Duanmu Ke looked at me and helplessly threw the knife in his hand to the ground.
He was afraid that Li Hui or the other man would pick it up, so he threw it far away. I looked at Li Hui and asked, In this kind of deadlock situation, no one can do anything. I have a question I want to ask you. Some time ago, Xinyao encountered 2 assassination attempts in the mall. Did you find someone to do it?
It was me. So what?
What's the point of you knowing it now?
I'm telling you, you two won't be able to leave here today.
Then, Li Hui raised the knife. I closed my eyes. At this moment, I felt a shadow appear in front of me. I opened my eyes and saw Duanmu Kei standing in front of me. His hand was bleeding. He snatched Li Hui's knife with his bare hands and hugged me tightly. I turned my head and looked at Li Hui. Duanmu Kei had lifted her to the ground, but I couldn't care less. I rummaged through my handbag and found a tissue. I hurriedly bandaged Duanmu Kei's wound.
Duanmu Kei didn't care about anything else. He looked at Li Hui, who was lying on the ground, and said with a serious face, "Li Hui, that kick wasn't light.
You've successfully crossed my bottom line. I've never hit a woman. You hurt my sister, my brother, and my woman. For a woman like you, my kick was light." Li Hui, who was lying on the ground, wanted to get up.
She looked at Duanmu Kei and shouted, "I won't let you get away with it." Then, she stood up and was about to rush over.
At this moment, the police rushed in from outside. The one in the front saw the scene, then looked at Duanmu Kei and me.
"We just received a report that there was an assault here.
Come and take them to the police station." I watched the police take Li Hui and the man away. I let out a long breath and leaned against Duanmu Kei's chest. I held his hand and said softly, "Xiao Kei, it hurts, right? Everything is fine now." Duanmu Kei held me tightly in his arms and said softly, "Yes, everything is fine now. Let's go to the police station first." I nodded and followed Duanmu Kei to the police station. After we arrived at the police station, we took care of our wounds and started to record our statements. Everything that happened at the press conference was known to the family. The police also knew Duanmu Kei's and my identities. I gave the recording to the police. After the police verified it, they told us that it was strong evidence. After a detailed investigation, they could file a case. It seemed that they could really convict Li Hui. There was nothing else to do at the police station. Duanmu Kei and I prepared to go to the hospital to see Xinyao and Suri. Suri's injuries were very serious, and I hadn't seen the Red Baron for more than a day. I didn't know how she was doing. After Duanmu Kei and I arrived at the hospital, we decided to go see Suri first. We contacted Xinyao and found that Suri was on an 4 drip in the emergency room. When we arrived at the emergency room and found them, we found that Suri's head wasn't too serious. It seemed that Suri was very lucky. I looked at Xinyao and said, "Xinyao, the last time you made an appointment with Dad, it should be today to go home to propose marriage. You won't be able to go now. Let's discuss it with Dad. Let's go tomorrow." Xinyao nodded and said, "I already told Dad." He also heard about what happened at the press conference. When I called him, he gave me a scolding. It was clearly not something I wanted to do, but in Dad's eyes, it became something I did. "Dad was worried about you. Don't think too much about it. My mother has already prepared everything for Suri. When I have nothing to do tomorrow, I'll accompany you two home and tell Dad about your situation." I looked at the time and saw that it was already afternoon. I looked at Xinyao and said, "It's getting late. You two should go back to my house after you're done with your injections. Xinyao, don't leave Suri's side for the next 2 days. You can stay at my house. I'll go see the Red Baron first." After that, Duanmu Kei and I left the emergency room and headed to the outpatient ward. Chapter 194. Duanmu Kei and I went to the Red Baron's ward. Han Hao was still guarding by the Red Baron's bed. I gently knocked on the door and walked in. Han Hao stood up and looked at us with the Red Baron. They were stunned for a long time. I looked at Han Hao in confusion. "What's wrong? What are you looking at?" Han Hao pointed at us and said, "Why are you all injured? Did something happen at the press conference?" Duanmu Kei looked at Han Hao. "We've caught the mastermind behind the attack. Xiao Li tried her best to get direct evidence.
That's how we managed to bring Li Hui to justice. In order to get the evidence, we had an argument with them. In the end, we were all injured. We didn't expect them to have a knife. It was a mistake.
I walked to the Red Baron's bedside and sat down. I held the Red Baron's hand tightly.
I looked at her and said softly, "Red Baron, how are you?
Are you feeling better?"
The Red Baron smiled at me.
"I'm feeling much better.
Miss, I'm sorry that I wasn't by your side when you were in danger."
Duanmu Ke looked at Han Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, come with me.
Let's talk about something." Han Hao was bewildered for a moment.
Then, he nodded and left the room with Duanmu Quebec.
I looked at their backs and felt a little worried.
The Red Baron saw my hesitation. She pulled my arm and said, "Don't think too much. Young Master Duanmu must be looking for Han Hao to talk about men.
It's not convenient for you to listen."
"Maybe. I just don't want the two brothers to fall out."
"Oh, right.
How's Xiao Hao taking care of you?"
The Red Baron smiled and looked at me.
"He's very good. He arranged everything for me very well. I'm very grateful."
"Thank you, Mississippi." I shook my head and looked at the Red Baron.
"It's okay. I'm grateful to him for taking care of you for me. When did the doctor say you could be discharged?"
"The doctor says he'll be all right in 2 days."
"What's the matter?" "Eldest Miss, is there something you want me to do?"
I sighed and looked at the Red Baron.
"No. I've realized that I can't control my feelings for Duanmu Ke anymore. I'm afraid that if I meet him again, I won't be able to leave him.
So, I want to leave as soon as possible. Also, I have to go to America to settle some matters. So, let's leave when you're discharged." The Red Baron nodded and looked at me.
"All right. Eldest Miss, I'll go wherever you go.
This time, I know that I have to protect myself. That way, I can protect you better."
I looked at the Red Baron and nodded with a smile. At this moment, Duanmu Ke and Han Hao walked back into the room. I looked at them and asked, "What did you two talk about outside?" Duanmu Ke and Han Hao looked at each other. Then they looked at me and said, "Nothing.
We were just casually chatting. Nothing else. Don't think too much." I stood up and looked at the two of them.
"I just talked to the Red Baron. She can be discharged in 2 days."
Duanmu Ke thought for a moment. "That's good.
Then everything will be perfect."
Duanmu Ke turned to look at me and said softly, "If there's nothing else, let's go home first."
"Didn't we have to talk about accompanying Suri to my house to propose tonight? It's already afternoon.
Let's go home." I saw that Han Hao suddenly looked embarrassed.
I glanced at Duanmu Ke, and he immediately understood.
He turned to Han Hao and said, "Xiao Hao, today was supposed to be the day that Suri would come to my house to propose, but because of the press conference, we had no choice but to postpone it until tomorrow."
Xiao Li promised Suri that she would go with him. Let's go home and discuss the details.
I might have to trouble you to take care of the Red Baron.
Han Hao looked at Duanmu Ke and then at me. "Xiao Li, you go ahead. I'll take care of things here.
Don't worry.
Congratulate Suri and Xinyao on my behalf. I hope they will be together for 100 years." Duanmu Ke and I accompanied Han Hao and the Red Baron to have a meal at the hospital. After that, we bid farewell to Han Hao and the Red Baron and set off on our way home. I didn't say anything on the way home. I didn't feel good about it.
Perhaps it was because Han Hao had done a lot of things for me, but I didn't have the chance to thank him properly. Furthermore, I had to accompany Duanmu Quebec. Appearing with him was undoubtedly the biggest blow to him. I knew that Han Hao didn't like me being with Duanmu Ke, but I still didn't consider his feelings. His heart must be in pain. Plus, I didn't know what Duanmu Ke had said to him. Thinking about it made me feel very uneasy. Duanmu Ke seemed to see through my thoughts. He reached out and gently placed his hand on mine. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. "Are you thinking about what Xiao Hao and I talked about?" I looked at Duanmu Ke and said, "Xiao Ke, did you announce your male chauvinism to Xiao Hao again? He's already very good.
He's done so many things for me without any complaints. Can you not bully him anymore? Duanmu-Ke looked at me with a smile and said, When did I bully him? I was just thanking him on your behalf. I know that he won't ask you to pay him back. Of course, I wouldn't use that to threaten you to be with him. I just told him that you're very grateful that he took care of the Red Baron for you and did a lot of things for you. When there's a chance in the future, you'll definitely thank him properly. Don't you understand him? He's a man who treats money like dirt. As for what Xiao Hao really likes, I really don't know. In my impression, he doesn't particularly like anything, but he also doesn't particularly hate anything. So I can only say that you'll properly thank him in the future. I looked at Duanmu-Ke with great surprise. It turned out that he was saying good things for me, helping me to appease Han Hao. I was overthinking things. Duanmu-Ke wasn't that bad. I blushed and looked at Duanmu-Ke and said, Thank you, Xiao Quebec. I might have misunderstood you. I thought you and Xiao Hao went to talk about something else. I didn't say it explicitly, but I knew that Duanmu-Ke definitely understood what I meant. As Duanmu-Ke drove, he said to me, Then you're definitely overthinking things. Xiao Hao is also a man, and he wants face. If I said these things to him in front of you and the Red Baron, he would feel very embarrassed. So I called him out so that we can talk alone. We can also talk about what's in our hearts. Xiao Hao told me that he's volunteering to do these things for you, just like how he did many things for me in the past. He said that he can't bear to see you working hard, and he's willing to share your burden, as much as he can. Hearing Duanmu-Ke's words, my heart didn't feel very comfortable. The more serious Han Hao was about my feelings, the more my heart told me that I couldn't accept him. Chapter 195. When we arrived home, Suri and Xinyao were already there. They were playing with Susu. When they saw me and Duanmu-Ke, they ran over to greet us. Xinyao threw herself into my arms. Sister-in-law, you're back, she whispered. Why did you bring my brother with you? He's not going to stay here, is he? Duanmu-Ke walked behind Xinyao, picked her up, and threw her to Suri. With a look of disdain, he said, Suri, take care of your woman. I'm going to stay here tonight. Tomorrow, I'll go home with you guys. If Dad asks about Suri's injury, I can cover for you. Keep an eye on this idiot. Every day, he causes trouble for me. Duanmu-Ke reached out and stroked Xinyao's hair. Although Duanmu-Ke didn't seem to care much about Xinyao, in reality, he cared a lot about his sister. But that wasn't the main point. The main point was that Duanmu-Ke was going to stay at my house tonight. There was a guest room, but with his status, how could he stay in a guest room? Just as I was thinking, my parents came out of their bedroom and sat down in the living room. I thought for a moment, then said to my mother, Mom, Xiao Ke is going to stay at our house tonight. I looked at my mother, and she immediately understood what I meant. She looked at me, and then at Xiao Quebec. Xiao Ke, you can come and stay with us. Before my mother could finish speaking, Duanmu-Ke said, Mom, there's no need to trouble yourself. I'll sleep in the same room with Xiaoli tonight. It's not like we haven't slept together before. There's no need to trouble yourself. We were all stunned. My mother looked at me with a doubtful face. She didn't seem to believe Duanmu-Ke's words. I sighed and shook my head helplessly. My mother thought for a moment and smiled at Duanmu-Quebec. It's no trouble at all. I'll ask Auntie to do some simple cleaning. It won't take long. Duanmu-Ke reached out and pulled me into his arms. He looked at my mother and said, Mom, there's no need. I left a set of toiletries and a change of clothes in Xiao Li's room. I'll just use that. Then he looked at Suri and Xinyao and said, You two can sleep in. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we can't be late. Okay, let's go upstairs. Then, Duanmu-Ke put his arm around my shoulder and went upstairs. I helplessly followed him. I didn't know what to say. Duanmu-Ke carried me back to the bedroom. He closed the door and lay down on the bed. He looked like he was in pain. I suddenly felt that something was wrong. I sat next to him and asked softly, Xiao Kei, what's wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable?
Duanmu Kei shook his head and looked at me.
Shaoli, can you take a look at the wound on my arm?
It seems to have split open.
What? I shouted. I quickly took off Duanmu Kei's shirt.
As expected, the wound on his arm had split open.
I anxiously looked at Duanmu Kei and said, Xiao Kei, wait for me. I'm going to find the first aid kit. I hurriedly rummaged through the cabinets to find the first aid kit. Luckily, I had it in my room. I hurriedly treated Duanmu Kei's wound.
I looked at it and saw that it was quite serious. After I finished bandaging it, I said softly, Xiao Kei, your wound isn't light. Why don't we go to the hospital?
I'm worried.
Duanmu Kei shook his head and leaned against the headboard and said to me, maybe I used too much strength when I was holding Xinyao, so the wound split open.
It's okay, it'll be fine after it's bandaged. I sighed and looked at him. All right then. If you feel uncomfortable, you have to tell me.
We have to go to the hospital.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going to find you a change of clothes. Where did you put your things?
I stood up and began to rummage through the wardrobe. Duanmu Kei pointed to the corner of the wardrobe and said, it's in the cardboard box in the corner. I followed his finger and found the cardboard box. I opened it and saw that it was full of his clothes.
I took the clothes out and turned to look at him.
His expression was still pained. It seemed that changing clothes on his own was quite troublesome.
I sighed and climbed onto the bed to sit next to him.
Duanmu Kei opened his eyes and looked at me with a surprised expression.
I looked at Duanmu Kei and reached out to unbuckle his belt.
He didn't stop me and just looked at me in silence. I didn't dare to raise my head to look at him. I said softly, it's not convenient for you to change clothes because of the wound on your arm.
Let me help you change.
Duanmu Kei nodded and didn't say anything.
After I helped Duanmu Kei change his clothes, I tidied up his clothes and handed them to the auntie.
I told the auntie to wash them before tomorrow. I also took some fruit from the kitchen to the bedroom.
Duanmu Kei was still lying on the bed.
His body was covered in gauze. Looking at him, I felt sorry for him and found it funny.
I looked at Duanmu Kei and said softly, Xiao Kei, eat some fruit.
Duanmu Kei raised his head and looked at me. He patted the side of the bed and gestured for me to sit there.
I thought for a moment and climbed onto the bed. I reached out and took a piece of apple and brought it to Duanmu Kei's mouth. He smiled and watched me eat it.
Then he said to me, this life is better.
I'm content as long as I can quietly look at you and accompany you.
I looked at him and said, you should take care of your body first. There are so many things waiting for you in Kurosawa. Your parents will be worried if they see you like this.
You can't let anything happen to you.
Duanmu Kei reached out to grab my arm and pulled me into his embrace. I didn't have time to resist and fell directly into his embrace. My first reaction was that I was afraid of pressing on his wound. Just as I was about to sit up, he hugged me tightly in his embrace and turned on the air conditioner. Before I could say anything, he said to me, with the air conditioner on, it won't be hot if we hug. The fruits are right next to the bed.
If you're hungry, you can eat them. If you're tired, you can just lean into my embrace and sleep.
Our intimate actions are very normal in the eyes of others.
Do you have any other concerns?
Duanmu Kei had already considered all the questions I wanted to ask. I thought for a moment and said softly, you're still messing around. What if your wound tears open again? Duanmu Kei thought for a moment and said, it won't.
You can't bear to see me get hurt. I didn't know how to respond to his answer.
I didn't know what to say, so I just quietly leaned into his embrace and listened to his heartbeat. Duanmu Kei held me in his embrace and gently stroked my hair.
I was a little sleepy, but I didn't want to sleep so early.
There were still some things on my mind. The closer Duanmu Kei was to me, the more I couldn't bear to part with him.
But I couldn't be with him. My love for him had always been tangled in my heart. Chapter 196. Duanmu K and I talked for a long time that night. We talked about some random things, but he was very good to me. Unlike the past, he didn't touch me. He just hugged me and talked for the whole night. We didn't sleep for long. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, the two of us were so sleepy that we fell asleep. We slept until 8 o'clock the next morning, when we woke up. Fortunately, there was still time. The two of us hurriedly tidied up and went downstairs. Auntie had already prepared breakfast. Suri and Xinyao had also woken up. During breakfast, Xinyao deliberately pushed Duanmu K away and sat next to me. I felt that she was being very mysterious. After eating for a while, Xinyao put her face in front of me. She looked at me with a perverted smile and said softly, "Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, did anything indescribable happen when you slept with my brother last night?" I glared at Xinyao. Afraid that Duanmu K would hear, I whispered to her, "Bad girl, you don't know my body's condition. You still want something to happen between me and your brother. What are you thinking in that little head of yours?" Xinyao looked at me with a smile and said, "I didn't think anything. Isn't this normal? Love between a man and a woman, we are all adults, we all understand." Finished speaking, Xinyao gave me a meaningful glance, which made my hair stand on end. I looked at Xinyao and said, "You're still talking about me? Aren't you the same? Yesterday, I created an opportunity for you to have sex with Suri, and you didn't thank me. What do you think? Do you have a lot of fun having sex with him?" I looked at Xinyao with a perverted smile. Her face immediately turned red. Xinyao gently pushed my arm and said softly, "Sister-in-law, you're so bad. You're making me embarrassed." With a fried dough stick in her mouth, Xinyao leaned on my shoulder and acted cute. I glanced at Suri. He was talking with Duanmu Quebec. His expression looked very serious. I looked at Xinyao and said, "Xinyao, look at Suri. He cares so much about you too. He even asked Duanmu K for advice. Look at yourself. Every day, you're always thinking about what could happen between me and your brother. It's like you've discovered a new continent. The difference in focus is too big." Xinyao sat up. She pouted and looked at me. Then she looked at Suri and Duanmu K and said unhappily, "Suri bro, what are you two talking about? Why are you two men sneaking around behind my sister-in-laws and my back?" Suri raised his head and looked at Xinyao. "It's nothing. Young Master K and I were talking about what kind of young people President Duanmu likes, and what kind of conversation style he likes. I was just trying to learn from young Master K, so we didn't talk about anything else." Xinyao suddenly froze. She looked at Duanmu K and asked, "Bro, is Suri really asking you these things?" Duanmu K held his coffee and said softly, "That's right." Suri only asked about our father's interests and hobbies. He said he was willing to cater to our father's interests for you. I told him everything I know about our father, nothing else. Xinyao curled her lips, looked at me and said softly, "All right, sister-in-law, you win." I looked at Xinyao and gently stroked her hair. "All right, there's no winning or losing between the two of us. I just want you to think more about your relationship with Suri. After all, if you two are going to get married, there are still many things you need to do." Duanmu K looked at me and said, "Shaoli, don't talk about Xinyao. You might not know her, but the more she acts calmly, the more nervous she is. She's the kind of person who doesn't show her emotions on her face. She's willing to hide everything and digest it herself. She should be more anxious than anyone else right now. This sister of mine has been the apple of our parents' eyes since she was young, especially my mother. She loves her a lot and spoils her to no end. All parents want to find a good man for their daughter. Xinyao should be very nervous right now." "Brother, you've exposed my little secret again." Xinyao looked at Duanmu K with an unhappy expression. Suri sighed. I could feel that he was also under a lot of pressure. At this time, Susu came to the table and sat next to Xinyao. Xinyao looked at her and smiled. "Susu, sister will be your sister-in-law, okay?" Susu was stunned for a moment. Then she looked at Xinyao and asked, "What's a sister-in-law?"
Xinyao rubbed her head and said, "A sister-in-law is your brother's girlfriend. I'm the woman who will be with your brother for the rest of his life.
I also want to give birth to a little niece or nephew for you."
Susu thought for a moment and then seemed to understand.
She looked at Xinyao and nodded vigorously. I'm willing.
I want sister to be my sister-in-law.
I'm willing.
I like sister.
No, I like sister-in-law. We were all charmed by Susu's cute appearance and couldn't help but laugh.
The atmosphere at the table became less tense.
I looked at Xinyao. It was just as Duanmu-Ke had said. Although she said that she was fine, she was actually very worried.
Her eyes had already betrayed her. I gently patted Xinyao's shoulder and whispered into her ear, "Girl, don't worry. I know you're worried about Suri's condition. Don't think about it.
I'll take care of the condition.
Whatever Suri needs, I'll take care of it for him. You just have to trust in his feelings for you, okay?"
Xinyao put down her bowl and chopsticks.
She tightly hugged my neck and whispered, "Thank you, sister-in-law. Thank you for preparing so much for us.
Suri and I will be fine. Mom and Dad won't object.
I believe in Suri and myself."
Duanmu-Ke and Suri, who were eating at the table, were stunned when they saw us hugging each other.
Duanmu-Ke held his coffee cup and looked at us with a dark expression.
It's early in the morning, and you're sitting at the table in front of us. Is it appropriate for you two to be so lovey-dovey? Xinyao let go of me and turned her head to look at Duanmu-Ke and Suri.
She glared at them and said, "It's none of your business.
I have a good relationship with my sister-in-law. You're jealous, aren't you?" Just like that, we spent breakfast in a noisy atmosphere.
After breakfast, we took the gifts we were going to Duanmu's house to visit the Duanmu family.
When we arrived at the entrance of my house, Duanmu-Ke handed the key to his beloved car to Suri. Suri looked at Duanmu-Ke in confusion.
Duanmu-Ke looked at Suri and said, "Suri, this is my engagement gift to you and my sister.
You can't refuse. As long as you promise to treat my sister well for the rest of her life, it's fine."
Chapter 197. We were all stunned.
Xinyao looked at Duanmu-Ke in disbelief.
"Wow, brother, this is your favorite Porsche.
You're really going to give your favorite car to Suri?"
Duanmu-Ke looked at Xinyao with a serious face.
"What's wrong?" "No, I'll give you this car.
There are ready-made ones in etc., and all the shopping malls in a city have VIP parking spots.
You don't need to worry about parking. It's quite convenient."
Xinyao shook her head and said to Duanmu-Ke, "No, brother, that's not what I wanted to ask.
What I wanted to ask is, are you willing to give your favorite car to him? It's a limited edition."
Duanmu-Ke rolled his eyes at Xinyao, then turned to Suri.
He took out a bank card from his pocket and handed it to Suri.
"Suri, this is also for you and my sister.
When you're free, take my sister out shopping.
She loves to play.
When you have time, take her out for a walk." Suri was stunned. He looked at Duanmu-Ke and shook his head.
No.
Young Master Duanmu, I can't take this money. My income is okay. It's enough to take Xinyao out to play."
"That's right, brother.
We don't need it.
We can support ourselves," Xinyao said.
The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. I thought for a moment, then walked to Duanmu, Quebec. I looked at Suri and Xinyao.
"Your brother gave it to you.
You should take it. Otherwise, he'll feel uneasy." Xinyao thought for a moment. She rushed to Duanmu-Ke and hugged him tightly. Then, she kissed Duanmu-Ke on the cheek.
"Thank you, brother. I'll take it. Thank you for loving me so much, brother."
She whispered to Duanmu, Quebec. Duanmu-Ke blushed. He quickly opened the door and got in the car.
Okay.
It's late.
Let's hurry."
Since Duanmu-Ke sat in the back, Xinyao sat in the front. She wanted to chat with Suri and relieve their stress. Duanmu K and I sat in the back. After the car started, I looked at Duanmu K and whispered in his ear, "Xiao K, thank you." Duanmu K turned to look at me. He reached out and hugged my waist. He whispered in my ear, "Thank me for what? Thank me for being so good to you?" I smiled at Duanmu Quebec. "Actually, you've wanted to give your car to Suri for a long time. You've prepared the money in your card for a long time." Duanmu K looked at me with a puzzled expression. "How did you know?" I sighed. I sighed and said, "I know how many cars you have. When we were together, you never drove this Porsche, you always drove an Audi. But recently, you started driving this car. As for the bank card, before we divorced, I once saw a small box under your desk. Inside the box was that bank card." I carefully looked at the ending of the card number and the bank of the account. It was exactly the same as the bank card you gave Su Rue today. You should have a lot of money in that bank card. Is it the dowry you prepared for Xinyao? Duanmu K raised his head to look at Suri and Xinyao. He softly said to me, "I support Suri and my sister being together. But you also know my father's position. He always wanted to use my sister's marriage to exchange for his own benefits. The boyfriends he introduced to my sister before were all sons of rich businessmen in a city. Let's not talk about their looks first, but their intelligence couldn't keep up. My sister has always resisted, but how could she endure my father's torture? I saw it with my own eyes and my heart ached. When I confirmed the engagement with you, I also resisted, but it was all in vain. At that time, I thought that my tragedy couldn't happen to my sister. At that time, I also knew that Xinyao's finances were dependent on her parents. She spent all the money she earned on luxury goods and didn't know how to save money. I thought about it and started to save money for Xinyao in the hope that she could find a good husband. If the boy's family was ordinary or even poor, the money I saved for her would be enough for the two of them to start a small business." I nodded and looked at Duanmu Quebec. "You're very thoughtful. How much did you prepare for them?" Duanmu K moved closer to my ear and whispered, "I didn't prepare much, just 1 million. I was stunned for a moment. I touched the bag in my hand and lowered my head. Duanmu K looked at me and asked, "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" I shook my head and looked at him and said, "Actually, I was also afraid that Dad wouldn't agree to Su Rue and Xinyao's matter, so before the marriage proposal, I already did my best to prepare for the two of them. The house has already been prepared. Su Rue's job in the Red Tea Association has also been promoted to a high level, and then the things needed for the marriage proposal have also been prepared. Originally, I also wanted to prepare a car for him, but at that time, Xinyao told me that she already prepared one for him, so I thought that it would be better to prepare some money for them, so I also saved some money these few days, but it wasn't as much as you. I only prepared 500,000. Duanmu K looked at me and gently stroked my hair. "Silly, they will understand our intentions. You don't have to worry anymore. Dad has me and Xinyao, so there shouldn't be any problems. I also hope that they can get married as soon as possible." I nodded, although Duanmu K was trying his best to comfort me, but I still felt very uneasy in my heart. As we talked, we arrived at Duanmu's house. The car drove into the courtyard, and we got out. The housekeeper and the housekeeper greeted us at the door. We walked into the living room. Duanmu Tachio and Xiao Fangya were waiting for us on the sofa. After a few simple greetings, we sat down on the sofa. Suri looked at me, and I nodded at him. Suri gathered his courage and looked at Duanmu Tachio. "Uncle, I came here today to talk to you and Auntie about something." Duanmu Tachio nodded and looked at Suri. "You want to talk about the marriage proposal, right?" We were all stunned. It seemed that he already knew. Suri was stunned. He looked at Duanmu Tachio with a sincere expression. "Uncle, so you already know. Can I tell you what I think?" Duanmu Tachio nodded. "Sure. Let's go. We'll talk in the study." Then he stood up, and the rest of us followed. Duanmu Tachio turned to look at us. Yao Yao, you guys wait outside and chat with your mother. Suri, come with me." Chapter 198. Suri turned to look at me. I nodded and told him to go in. Actually, I was worried that something might go wrong if he and Duanmu Tachio talked alone. Duanmu K reached out and patted my shoulder, telling me not to worry. The three of us sat down on the sofa. I glanced at Xinyao. She was biting her fingers as she stared at the door of the study. Her expression was very serious. I knew that she was worried the most right now, but I didn't want to disturb her thoughts. I could only sit by her side silently. Xiao Fengya looked at me and smiled. Xiao Li, long time no see. How have you been? I came back to my senses and smiled at Xiao Fengya. Mom, I've been good. How have you and Dad been? We've been good. We are also very good. I heard from Yao Yao and K, that your relationship with K, is very good. We are also very happy. K, treated you so badly at that time, but you didn't lower yourself to his level. In fact, your father and I still hope that the two of you can remarry. I can also see that K, still loves you very much. Although he still hasn't recalled the memories of the two of you together, we can also see how he feels about you. So, Xiao Li, you should think about it. I glanced at Duanmu K, and he was also looking at me. I couldn't directly refuse, but I also couldn't agree. I smiled at Xiao Fengya and said, Mom, I still have a lot of things to do in the Red Minghui. I'll think about it after I'm done. Actually, Xiao K is very good to me, and I can feel it. Mom, don't worry, I'll think about it. Don't worry. Xiao Fengya smiled at me. If you're busy, you should take care of your body. Don't tire yourself out. Duanmu K glanced at Xinyao, then at Xiao Fengya. Mom, I think Xinyao won't be able to leave the study for a while. How about this? I'll take Xiao Li to the garden. The garden has been renovated, and Xiao Li hasn't seen it yet. I was stunned and looked at Duanmu Quebec. I didn't understand what he meant. Did the garden really get demolished? Xiao Fengya looked at us and said, Okay. You guys go. When it's time for lunch, I'll ask Auntie to call you. Then, Duanmu K pulled my hand and led me to the garden. Duanmu K brought me to the garden. From the outside, it looked the same as before, and I couldn't see any changes. Duanmu K pulled me into the garden. As soon as I entered the garden, I was stunned by the scene in front of me. There was a new flower pond in the place of the abandoned rose pond. It was full of roses, and there were several rattan chairs next to the rose pond. If there was any change, it would be that it looked even more beautiful than before. I stood by the flower pond in a daze. Duanmu K stood behind me and hugged me from behind. He softly said, How is it? Does it look good? I nodded and said to Duanmu K, Why did you suddenly want to renovate this place? Duanmu K hugged me tightly and said to me, I know you like the rose pond. When I destroyed your rose pond back then, I saw how heartbroken you were. I felt sorry for you, so I found the best gardener in a city to come to my house and make this rose pond. My parents didn't care about me, so I could do whatever I wanted. After I was done, I realized that it could actually be so beautiful. In the past, I was never interested in flowers and plants, but ever since I had feelings for you, all my interests and hobbies have changed a lot. Hearing Duanmu K say that, my heart felt warm. Duanmu K stood in front of me and hugged me. He gently stroked my hair and said, Xiao Li, thank you. You changed my bad temper, and made me calm down a lot when I encounter things. I never thought that I would change my nature for a woman, but you changed me. I don't regret it at all. I like these changes, because they let me experience my own heart. I understood the meaning of Duanmu K's words. I looked at Duanmu K and said softly, Thank you for preparing so much. I just told Mother that when I'm done, I'll think about the two of us. I hope you can give me some time. Duanmu K held my shoulder and looked at me. Xiao Li, I won't force you. I know that Han Hao also likes you. I also said that I want to compete with him fairly, so don't think too much. You have your own things to do. I understand, silly. I'll always be by your side.
Duanmu Ke gently kissed my forehead.
Young master, young madam, are you there? The housekeeper's voice came from outside the garden.
Duanmu Ke raised his head and shouted, I'm here. What's the matter?
Young master, madam asked me to call you and young madam. She said that master and young master Suri have finished talking. Madam asked you to return to the living room. Okay, I got it.
Duanmu Ke turned his head and looked at me.
Shaoli, let's go back and see how things are going with Xinyao and Suri. I nodded and followed Duanmu Ke back to the living room. When we returned to the living room, Suri and Duanmu Tochio had already come out of the study. I looked at Duanmu Tochio's expression, which was the same as always. I then looked at Suri and Xinyao. They were also talking with their heads lowered. I sat down next to Suri and pulled on Suri's arm. How is it? I asked quietly. Suri looked at me and gave me an okay sign. My heart dropped. I sighed and looked at Xinyao. Her eyes were moist. It seemed that she also felt that this happiness had not come easy. At this time, Duanmu Tochio said, Suri, Xinyao, you two should hurry up with your marriage. Isn't the house already under renovation? If you need money, just tell me. Duanmu Tochio looked at Xiao Fengya. Xiao Fengya nodded. She went into the bedroom and came out with a card. She handed the card to Xinyao and Suri. Duanmu Tochio continued, take this card. You two can take care of the wedding arrangements. This is a little token from me and your mother. Xinyao took the card and smiled at Duanmu Tochio. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. She turned to look at Su Rue and said, That's great. We're finally done. Brother gave me money, sister-in-law gave me money, and even Mom and Dad gave me money. I'm so excited. Chapter 199. Xinyao and Suri's marriage was settled just like that. The preparations for the house and the wedding were all done in an orderly manner. After I left Duanmu's house, I immediately ran to the hospital and chased Han Hao home. After that, I stayed by the Red Baron's side until the Red Baron was almost fully recovered and was discharged from the hospital with the doctor's approval. I then brought the Red Baron back to the Lang residence and returned the house she rented. I packed up all her belongings and brought them back to the Lang residence. I especially asked the nanny to arrange a room for the Red Baron. Like this, the Red Baron lived in my house. Ever since the attack at the shopping mall, the Red Baron and I had obviously become closer. Xinyao had to prepare for her wedding, so she didn't have time to accompany me. However, she was very nice to me and bought me a bunch of health supplements for expectant mothers. When she brought them to me, I was even mocked by her and Suri. However, there was nothing I could do about it. My stomach was slightly bulging now. It seemed like I wouldn't be able to hide it from Duanmu Ke for a long time. I had to leave for the United States as soon as possible. After the Red Baron was discharged from the hospital, we stayed at home for another week. During this time, I didn't see Han Hao or Duanmu Quebec. These two people seemed to have disappeared from my side. During this week, the Red Baron accompanied me to the hospital for a checkup. The baby was fine. I also asked the doctor if we could take a plane to the United States. The baby wouldn't be affected too much. It seemed like everything was ready before we went abroad. As usual, our family sat in the living room and chatted after dinner. At this time, my father looked at me and said, Li, get ready. Go to the United States with Red Jew on Sunday. As for the tickets, I will arrange for Secretary Li to take care of it later. Just prepare the things you need to take with you. Because Red Jew was injured some time ago, I arranged for Secretary Li to buy first-class tickets for you. I have also informed old Jiang that Jiang Qing will pick you up at the airport. Remember what I told you, don't be too tired over there. Try to arrange for the people below to do everything. Don't always think about doing it yourself. You will be gone for about 2 or 3 years. Your mother and I will go to see you when we have nothing to do. Your mother and I will take care of themselves over there. I will start preparing tomorrow. Hearing my father's words,
my heart suddenly skipped a beat. I really didn't expect to go to the United States so soon. I thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, Dad. I understand. I will take good care of myself over there. I will start preparing tomorrow. Mother looked at me and said softly, Xiaoli, you must take good care of yourself over there.
The United States isn't like home. I can rest assured if the Red Baron is by your side. If you go alone, I definitely won't let you go. I have already told your father that I will go over to accompany you after I am done here. You can't not have your parents by your side when you are giving birth. When that time comes, you will miss them very much. Don't worry, Dad and Mom won't leave you alone. I nodded and looked at my mother. Thank you, Mom. I understand. At this moment, the Red Baron sat next to me and gently nudged me. She looked at me and gave me a meaningful look. I didn't understand what she meant. She whispered into my ear, let's go out for a walk. I immediately understood what the Red Baron meant. I looked at my parents and said, Dad, Mom, I want to go out for a walk. I still haven't digested my food after dinner. I can take the Red Baron out for a walk. Father nodded and said, Go. Come back early. Then, I took the Red Baron's hand and walked out of the living room. The two of us walked to the garden. I sat on a rattan chair and looked at the garden full of roses. I was in a very good mood. The Red Baron looked at me. She sat across from me and looked at me. She said softly, Young mistress, what are you thinking about? I was stunned for a moment. Gently stroking the roses, I shook my head and said to the Red Baron, No, I am not thinking about anything. The Red Baron smiled and looked at me. You are thinking about young Master Duanmu and young Master Han Hao, aren't you? I was stunned. I looked at the Red Baron in disbelief and asked, How did you know? The Red Baron continued, Not only do I know that you are thinking about them, but I also know that you are wondering why they haven't come to see you for so long. Red Ju sat next to me. She put her arm around my shoulder and whispered to me, Actually, I think I know men better than you. Duanmu K and Han Hao should be at home thinking about the matter between the two of you. They both need some time to calm their hearts. Only then can they know how to face you. I dare to bet that there's a 99% chance that both of them are thinking the same thing. Red Ju sighed and said softly, Actually, I think I know men better than you. Duanmu K and Han Hao should be at home thinking about the matter between the two of you. I looked at the Red Baron in disbelief and said, How do you know men so well? You haven't interacted much with Duanmu K and Han Hao. How do you know them? The Red Baron shook his head and said to me, A man is a hunting animal. When his prey is in an environment that is not particularly safe, he will not enjoy his prey. After confirming that it is safe, he will really start to enjoy his prey, and he will never share it with others. Therefore, the two of them now have to determine whether they will get you or not. Only when they get you, will they be qualified to possess you. Moreover, the young lady's character is so strong. She is definitely not the kind of woman who will easily give in, so they must think carefully about it. I sighed and looked at the Red Baron. Forget it. Let's not think about it. Anyway, we are leaving on the weekend. You have to promise me that you will keep this a secret from them. You can't tell Xinyao and Suri either. I have to find an opportunity to tell Dad and Mom. I can't let them tell anyone else. The Red Baron nodded and smiled as she gently caressed my face. She stayed by my side. The two of us sat next to the rose pond without saying a word. We just sat there silently and felt the breath of the wind. The wind blew my hair messily, and my heart trembled. The next day, the Red Baron and I simply packed our luggage. There weren't many things to bring to America, and the branch there would also prepare for us. I thought about it and specially bought some local specialties to bring over. I hadn't seen Uncle Jiang and Jiang Qing for a long time. Although we talked on the phone, it was still not as intimate as when we met in person. Moreover, I heard from Jiang Qing that he was already engaged with his girlfriend, Cece, in America. They said that they would get married after I arrived. I thought about it and felt that as his eldest sister,
I should also prepare a wedding gift for him. Therefore, I shopped with the Red Baron for a long time and picked out a very good gift. Chapter 200. When it was time to leave for the United States, the whole family woke up early. My mother was busy preparing my luggage for me for a long time. My father also got up very early. He sat in the living room and told us what to do. Red Baron didn't have a lot of luggage. In addition to 2 suitcases of clothes, she was also holding a doll that looked very old in her arms. I knew that this doll had accompanied her since she was a child. It meant a lot to her. Although it wasn't a treasure, in Red Baron's eyes, she was the most precious thing. I, on the other hand, had to carry at least 5 or 6 suitcases. I suddenly felt worried. My father looked at me and said, "Lier, why don't you ask Suri to come and give you a lift?" "No, Dad." I quickly stopped him. I looked at my father and said, "Dad, I don't want to tell anyone that I'm going abroad, so don't look for Suri. We'll take a taxi to the airport later. I can check these things in." My father thought for a moment and nodded. I let out a sigh of relief. I glanced at the time. It was almost time to leave. After bidding farewell to my family, the Red Baron and I embarked on our journey to America. After more than 10 hours of flight, we finally got off the plane and arrived in America. I couldn't help but take a deep breath. I hadn't set foot on this land for a long time. After taking out our luggage, the Red Baron and I walked out of the airport. As soon as we reached the exit, we saw Jiang Qing. He was always so eye-catching. He had a lollipop in his mouth. He saw me in the crowd and jumped up and waved at me. I shook my head helplessly. The Red Baron and I dragged our luggage over to Jiang Qing. Jiang Qing was stunned when he saw me. Then, he pulled me into his arms and patted my back vigorously. "Missy, you're finally back. I missed you so much, so much." Jiang Qing's grip was too strong. He had only patted me twice, but I already felt that I couldn't take it anymore. Just as Jiang Qing was about to raise his hand, the Red Baron grabbed his wrist. Jiang Qing was stunned. He tilted his head and looked at the Red Baron with a serious expression. I took the opportunity to escape from Jiang Qing's embrace. The Red Baron smiled at Jiang Qing and said, "It's better if you don't pat her. Missy's body won't be able to take a third pat." Jiang Qing furrowed his brows. He looked at the Red Baron and asked, "Who are you?" Then, he shook off the Red Baron's hand. "Let me introduce myself. I'm the Red Baron. I'm the personal bodyguard who came to America with Missy. If you pat Missy's back like that, I'll get angry." Jiang Qing pursed his lips and turned to look at me. I nodded, confirming that the Red Baron's words were true. Jiang Qing looked at me, then at the Red Baron, and then at me. He suddenly broke down and threw himself into my arms. He hugged me tightly and said, "Missy, I'm so scared. Missy, look at the Red Baron. He's grabbing my arm and it's hurting me. Missy, look at him." Red Baron's expression was the same as mine. We were both shocked by Jiang Qing's actions. I patted Jiang Qing's shoulder and pushed him to the side. Then I walked over to Red Baron and said softly, "Don't be afraid. He's just like that. When he knows we're on the same side, he's scared. He's not like that to outsiders, but he's very manly." Jiang Qing is in charge of a lot of things in the Red Tea Association's North American branch. He's a very capable person and is also a famous local DJ. It's just that his personality is sometimes like a child, but only to people close to him. The Red Baron nodded thoughtfully. She looked at me and said, "I understand. I will definitely become good friends with him." Actually, I originally thought that the Red Baron's cold personality wouldn't be able to get along with Jiang Qing. But I was completely wrong. The two of them talked very much on the way back to the club. From video games to entertainment and fashion, the two of them really had the same interests and hobbies. Sitting between them, I suddenly felt like I didn't fit in. But I couldn't say anything, so I could only brace myself and listen to the two of them talk non-stop. We finally arrived at the entrance of the club. Uncle Jiang was already there with a group of people to welcome us.
When I got out of the car, Uncle Jiang hurried over. Uncle Jiang took my hand and whispered to me, "Shaoli, you're back. That's great. Everyone missed you." I smiled at Uncle Jiang and said, "Uncle Jiang, let me introduce you. This is my personal bodyguard, the Red Baron."
My father arranged for me to come to America with him.
I introduced the Red Baron to Uncle Jiang. "Hello, Uncle Jiang. I am the Red Baron." The Red Baron smiled and bowed to Uncle Jiang.
"Hello, hello.
It's rare for the young miss to have such a good bodyguard by her side. It's really rare. Welcome to Red Minghue's American Club." Uncle Jiang smiled very happily. I looked at Uncle Jiang and said, "Uncle Jiang, you've worked hard during this time. You've been busy with everything in the club."
"You've worked hard, Uncle Jiang."
"It's what I should do. No need to say thanks. Let's go in and chat. Everyone must be hungry. It's already prepared.
Everyone, come in."
I nodded and followed Uncle Jiang into the club.
On the way to the club, Uncle Jiang whispered to me, "Shaoli, I received a call from your father.
He said that you and the Kurosawa Duanmu Kei are divorced? And you're pregnant? What's going on?"
I was stunned. After thinking for a moment, I said to Uncle Jiang, Uncle Jiang, you don't have to worry about it.
I'll tell you in detail when I have the chance." "Then the pregnancy definitely isn't fake, right?"
Uncle Jiang said to me nervously.
I thought for a moment to calm Uncle Jiang down. I whispered to him, "The pregnancy is real."
Actually, I was afraid that if I gave birth in China, I wouldn't be able to hide it from the Duanmu Quebec. So, since our club has a lot of projects in America, I volunteered to be in charge of them.
It's also for the sake of giving birth in America. This way, the Duanmu Kei definitely won't know about the child. Uncle Jiang nodded. He looked at me and sighed.
Forget it, forget it.
But Uncle Jiang has to remind you that you don't have to worry too much about the club's matters. Just focus on taking care of the baby.
If you really can't handle it, I'll have Jiang Qing sign you up for a mother-to-be's club and have you attend classes every day.
That way, you won't have time to worry about the club's matters."
My face darkened as I looked at Uncle Jiang and said, "Uncle Jiang, you can't treat me like this."
"I already said that I have official business to attend to this time."
"Uncle Jiang, please promise me."
"I promise that I won't tire myself out, but there are things that I must attend to within the association. Otherwise, I will really feel uncomfortable. Uncle Jiang is begging you, please promise me, okay?"
You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel.
Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.